stuff, the soup is not a meal thing. So
Yeah,
That's fair.
Bobby's my resident food guy.
Well, like what's jambalaya classified as? 'Cause that's
Oh,
not
come on, that's a meal. That's got your carbs. It's got your protein. It's got your fat. That's a meal.
yeah, I don't
I'm
think
saying
that
it's a
can be
meal, but is
soup.
it a
It's got
soup?
rice. It's got rice in it. It's got rice
It's
in
got a
it.
bunch of stuff in it,
Yeah.
but I mean, you know,
Yeah, but no, chicken and wild rice, like that's soup, isn't it?
I think.
I mean, like,
If you put a
Well, like
ball
not,
in it,
not all. They're not all like super, like liquidy.
oh, I see what you
Like
did.
you can have like
Okay.
a thick jambalaya.
Super, yeah.
Right. I mean, you throw enough
chili-
crawfish
it's
and
chili as soup.
Oh, there's no way chili is soup, man. You can't put a
no.
soup on a hot dog. You ain't putting chicken noodle on your hot dog, right?
Well,
that's
then
the
jambalaya-
nastiest hot dog I ever heard of.
Jambalaya might not be a soup then.
Oh well, there goes my dinner.
I think chili's just chili. Like you can't call that soup.
Well, then
Yeah,
jambalaya is
that's what
not a
I'm
soup
thinking.
either. It's jambalaya.
I think
You
it's
know,
yeah,
I'm
that's
right, 'cause
something
that's thick too.
separate. Yeah, maybe.
What's the ratio? What's the ratio got to be between, solids
Broth
and
and
I can Google it.
liquid? What's the ratio? What's the ratio?
Well, I'm gonna tell
I think
you.
once
right
you put
now.
in like a carb, once you put in like rice, or I think with like chili, once you start adding in the ground beef or whatever protein you put in there, then I think it goes out the soup category after that.
If you run it,
But chicken noodle soup, noodles. I mean,
so if you run it through a strainer and the bowl is still more than 50% full, like that should be some sort of guideline.
It's a
50%,
liquid
huh?
dish typically made by boiling meat, fish, or vegetables, etc., in stock or water. So I think the stock is what does it.
The
If you're
stock.
putting stock in there,
yeah,
okay.
which
Turns it into a
bouillon
soup.
is just like cheap stock.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
soup.
Wait,
Consider
bouillon is-
yourself
Soup?
bitch.
So you just said that bouillon cubes are basically David Johnson. It's cheap stock. Right?
Oh,
No.
come on.
Like,
Look at that. You know
too
this man's a
soon.
host. Look at that segue.
I mean, I'm
Look
just
at that
saying.
segue.
I'm just saying.
He
said it.
introduce the guests first? Can we introduce the show? No, just David Johnson. Okay, have at her.
Also, who's using bouillon cubes? You gotta use the paste.
I'm a pasty boy. Yeah,
I use the cubes. Maybe
Seems
I'm
more
cheap.
ways than you know.
I'm cheap.
He said I'm cheap.
All right. Well, I feel like we still haven't figured it out to a degree. Kind of like a lot of things in fantasy football. Segue. This is the opening bar. My name is Gabriel Gearing. My co-host is J Mike. We're here, man. It's live. It's 9:30 Eastern ish. Heavy on that ish. We came at you just right on the edge of ish. But not quite. Still an ish. So
Mhm.
we are feeling it. We are. I don't know what else to say. But hi, J Mike. How are you?
Hola, ¿cómo está? And that's the extent of my Spanish. I'm doing okay, man. Thanks a lot. Thank you for asking. It's good to be with you.
Well, chicken tortilla soup. I see. Okay. Yeah.
Oh man, Gabe, I don't know if we've done this before, but we
soup
might as
draft?
well. Soup draft. Have we had a soup
Oh,
draft?
man.
Yeah. No, we haven't. But let's do it. I don't know if we know what soup is, but we can definitely draft it. Y'all didn't do that when because it sounds like you had an argument or a conversation about soup while I wasn't here. Is that true?
No. I don't. What if I just say that I wasn't coherent when
Got it.
that happened?
Yeah, I believe you.
I might have been, I might have had the itis. If it, allegedly.
Mhm.
I just don't quite remember having that conversation. Yeah, I don't know that happened. I don't think that you can put me if the glove don't fit, you must have quit. So
Okay.
All right. Well,
Those are true words.
soup draft. Let's go. We're gonna go around the horn here. With your soup selection, please introduce yourself. Feel free to include soup in your name. If we're changing handles tonight and including your favorite soup, I'm totally into it. I'm a big fan of alliterations. I'm a big fan of, just creativity in general. So there's not a lot of pressure cooker on this, but come on, guys. Come on. Have at her. We're going to start from, let's go counterclockwise, starting at the top right. You know who you are. Introduce yourself and give me your soup.
Hello, group. My name is Adam, and I just think anytime that you can get a cure to all illness and a hearty meal, you have to take it. So I'm going to go with chicken soup right off the grip.
Wow.
Bland.
Question: do you have a soda on the side?
Obviously, ginger ale in case my tum-tum hurts.
Chicken noodle soup. Chicken noodle soup. Chicken noodle soup with the soda on the side. Let it rain and clear it out.
That one's been a while for me.
Oh,
Well done.
that takes me back.
Yeah. All right. Welcome, Adam. Nice to have you, man. Hey, how are you?
Just living. Just
All
here
right.
living.
Yeah. I thought you said livid at first. I was like, what's
Well,
wrong?
that
Do we need to talk? What's up? Did the David Johnson thing get you a little
Oh.
heated, a little tight?
It's just sad.
Yeah. All right. We can talk about it later, man. It's all right. All right. And clockwise motion, bottom right. What's your name? What's your soup? Give it to me, baby.
Yeah, James the Brain here, and man, my soup. I got to stick with being a Wisconsinite, and I got to go with beer cheese. Beer cheese soup here in Wisconsin,
Ooh,
man. They make it
okay.
right with some good beer. It's yeah, that's the good. Whenever you could combine beer and cheese, you have to take that. So that's it. And again, soup is not a meal; it's a side. As long as you ain't
Oh.
approaching it like it's a meal. All right, I'm just telling you now. Soup is not a meal. It's not hearty enough.
So-
Once it gets too hearty, it becomes something not soup. You know.
Got you. This man's
But what if
campaigning.
But what if the
I don't know.
soup fills you
Chicken
up?
noodle soup. Chicken
Like,
noodle on the side.
Yourself
Well-
up on the soup is it a meal? Because I could fill myself up on Rice Krispies and I could have a meal.
Yeah, you're well on your way. Like we just watched you like get started on
I'm
there.
just saying we need some ground rules.
I suppose if you can justify, hey, I had dinner tonight, it was 18 Rice Krispie treats,
Yeah.
then you could probably justify soup as a meal. So maybe you're onto something there, but traditionally,
Okay.
I would say more times than not, soup, not a
I
meal.
hear you. I hear
Okay.
you.
Okay. All right.
James, nice to have you on the show. Nice to meet you as a human. Turns out you are not just a brain, but a lot of other things surrounding that organ. So
It's disappointing. I'm sorry. I'll do better next time.
All right.
I'm letting you down here with arms and such, but we get to man. But I'm pretty pumped because there is a chance that you and I actually get to sit down and have a drink in a couple months at the NFL draft. So I'm looking forward to that.
You going?
Man. Oh yeah, I'm
Oh
gonna be
my
there.
God.
So yeah. So that's gonna be fun. That'll be where we get to sit down and really try to convince the bartender, to open the bar up for us.
Yeah. That's going to be the dangerous part. There is is when that city gets in our blood. Well, looking forward to that, man. All right. Middle, bottom. Sorry.
That's my nickname in high school.
Oh my God.
Oh, it's not even your turn.
How did we get there?
Middle, bottom. Okay. Introduce yourself and your soup.
All right. I don't even know where to go after that quip from Will, but y'all know who I am. It's Chris Allen at Chris Allen FFWX. Y'all know the game. Y'all know the name.
Damn, you
So-
just came through with it.
I will just say that for me, I guess my favorite soup is a French onion soup. That'd be my personal preference. Get some cheese like drizzled on top, some mozzarella cheese like drizzled on top. Melt that stuff down with a nice side of bread on that. That's the way to go right there. Man.
Oh, you
That's what I mean.
fancy.
Oh yeah. I have my needs. Okay. I'm a simple man, but when I want some good food, that's what I need. So there we
Right.
go.
Give me your favorite French phrase, Chris. I know you're deep into the,
Omelette du fromage.
Mm.
wow. Talk dirty to me.
I think he just did. I'm not sure.
I think he did.
Maybe. I don't know.
Talk that cheese talk, boy.
Middle bottom.
Middle bottom,
Classic middle
indeed.
bottom.
Yeah.
Coming through.
Pass it on. All right, bottom left, your soup and your name, even though I believe you are now middle bottom as a name, but not location.
Yeah, I guess each time I come on, some new names coming on board. Well, it's Will Greenwood from the Fantasy Joes. And I think if I had to choose one soup for the rest of my life, I guess I have to go with the Campbell's vegetable soup that has the alphabet in there. Because I think I could eat that still.
That's classic,
every
man.
meal.
That's
'Cause I
classic.
don't have a hard enough soup take about a soup I've had. Like I found out I don't like lentils in soup, which is weird.
Oh,
I also thought about this. The guilty pleasure is the Panera broccoli and cheddar soup in a bread bowl.
With
Oh,
a
yeah.
Every like,
baguette, my dude.
I haven't,
that's
I
kind
haven't
of a
had
cheat code.
I haven't had that in so long, but that's good. I'd
Yeah.
consider that a meal.
Yeah.
Didn't Panera
It's not a
used to
meal.
have?
It's not a meal. Sorry, that's not a meal. All
Dude,
right.
your bowl
Come
is
on.
bread. How is that not a meal?
But you don't have any protein in there, so
Yeah.
I'm with you. It's not a meal because you have your fats. You have your fats with the cheese, and you have your carbs with the baguette. Because you would never dare eat that without a baguette. You just got to drop like some chicken in there or something. Bring your own chicken in your pocket and just like drizzle it on.
Bring your own chicken in your pocket. Who are
And
you,
then
Marshawn Lynch? Like, what are
and
you
then you
talking
have-
about?
and then
No,
you
it's
have a
Napoleon-
whole
it's
meal.
Napoleon
Napoleon
up there.
Dynamite with like the
Yeah.
tots. You're just gonna sprinkle the tots.
Some man just walking around with chicken in his pants.
Precisely.
Oh, let's spice this up.
Yeah.
Yo, that's.
I think I
Oh,
just learned a
man.
life lesson. I'm not leaving the house without chicken in my pocket from here on out. So.
You should always have protein on hand.
Or at least the chicken bouillon. I mean, come on.
Yeah, at least get the have
There
a
you
couple
go.
cubes.
Keep that paste ready, baby.
Right.
Will, nice to have you on again, my friend. I don't think I said that to Chris either, and it is also equally nice to have you on
Much
again.
appreciated.
Yeah. So those are the guests. That's the open bar. J Mike, is that about it, or do you want to battle it out with our soups, huh?
Well, I think I've got the ultimate cheat code. I don't even know if we really want to put this to a vote between the two of us.
Okay, well,
so
I
maybe
put-
you
I-
should go first.
Yeah. Well, I see you in here. I don't know if you're going to cheat or not in this so-called chat. I see you in
you
here.
do see it.
I'm just not sure if you're going to cheat or not, but I don't, we'll find out. So I'm a little confused as to like, again, what soup is, but to me, I would consider ramen a soup and
Oh yeah.
particularly tonkatsu, which is going to be just my favorite. Little pork bone broth. Okay.
Okay.
We don't mess
Okay.
around.
Okay.
This is real. Okay. I don't know. There's nothing really else to say. If you want your soft boiled egg, some scallions. I don't know. It's your vibe, but I feel like I just get to own ramen now because no one else got to say it. I know I said
Yeah.
a specific one, but now I just get to have all of them. So that's a real bummer.
Yeah, I should have
Good
said
flex. Good flex.
That's yeah. So does that mean that I own beer and cheese? Because if so, Chris has to change his answer.
Wow.
Can't have cheese on that.
that. Yeah, that's true.
You monopolize the cheese. Conglomerate.
Being in Wisconsin, it's all right. I could
I
just
mean,
stop
you're
all
gonna
the
have
trucks.
I'm going to be left here with just like tomato soup or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is
I
devastating.
almost said bisque.
Mm,
Okay.
A good crab bisque.
Yeah. These are the
Mm.
facts.
Okay, but is tomato soup even a soup? Because I
God.
just read the Webster
Come
definition.
on.
It said it had to have a broth. There's no broth in tomato soup. There's no meat broth in that.
Adam, what were you just eating?
Tomato soup is not.
You were just eating a Rice
I was
Krispie
eating-
treat, and
I was
now you're
eating
gonna lecture
brain
something.
food so I could think how tomato soup is not a soup.
Stop it.
They've been lying to us our whole life.
Hey, leave James alone, man.
Yeah, man. Leave me alone. Enjoy your bowl of ketchup or tomato soup, whatever you want to call it.
Oh
Same
no,
difference.
I would never. I would never.
Is a chowder a soup?
The
Mm.
chowder's a chowder, which means that
Yeah,
J
that's
Mike's
a chowder.
next answer isn't going to be a
Or is
soup
it-
either.
Or is like
It's
pho
gotta
or
be.
pho a soup?
Yeah, pho's a soup if ramen's a soup.
Yeah.
This
I
could
thought
get
I
real.
really.
This is gonna get really dicey here. The moment I start
Yeah.
talking about is Taysom Hill a quarterback. Okay, so
I mean, technically,
I don't want to go there, but y'all
keep.
keep.
He's the
messing me with
jambalaya
the
of
fucking
soups.
soup.
Unfortunately, I had to start him there all last year, so I guess he is.
Jeez. In the chat, Tyler hit you with the Gabe going the Houston Astros route. I think
That's a low blow.
Wow,
He had his. That was
Tough
on the show
seed.
sheet, wasn't it?
Ouch.
too
Yeah.
soon.
If you apologize now and you're
Wow.
like sincere, you might get ahead of it. But if you just try to say it doesn't matter, you're in trouble, man.
Right.
Is it bad that the only, and I'll get to my answer, but it's way less important than the conversation we're having. Is it bad that the only ramen I've ever had was a little package, like the 10-cent package, as a college student and growing up? Is that like actual legit ramen? I'm told is like amazing,
Oh yeah.
but like like college student ramen noodles is the only ramen that I really know.
I haven't had
Oh.
any. I've had zero ramen.
Yeah,
Whoa.
my grandmother
Take
used to make
that.
us like the original kind, like when I was growing up.
Oh, yeah, I grew up on
that's
chicken flavor ramen.
Chicken flavor.
Mhm.
Hint
What
of
is
chicken?
Wow, I turned out a whole lot more bougie than I anticipated.
Oh, without question.
Oh yeah, right.
Has anyone ever mixed the flavors? Anybody ever gone the chicken and shrimp route or something like that?
Oh, you went
No,
the
but I've made
suicide route
a-
with your ramen?
Oh, I've
spicy
never
ramen
never
before.
had any ramen. I just want to know. I just want to live vicariously through the
So
people.
if you're ever sick, a
You're already
bowl of
thinking
spicy
about it without
ramen,
ever having
that will
ramen. You're
set-
Yeah.
sick, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Man, when I was a kid, we used to have beef, right? One
Mhm.
time, I remember Mom mixed it up, man. She got chicken, and we didn't even know because the package was a different color. It blew our minds. We were like, "What is
Isn't
this?"
chicken like the orange color or
the
something like that?
It was before we could really read very well. So we're looking at it like, is this like diet ramen or something she got us? I don't know, like sodium free or
ramen.
something. Yeah. So it took us a little bit to realize that there was different flavors.
Right, diet ramen, instead of 3,000 milligrams of sodium, they just cut it down to about 2,000.
Do you think that you could do the cinnamon challenge, but with a dust packet of chicken flavoring?
Oh man, hard out.
I definitely want to have a fantasy football bet with someone to
Yeah.
do that for sure, though. So who does someone not like? Maybe I'll like them.
I can't think of anybody that would actually do that.
Hot takes, Frank. Where's our man, Frank?
Yeah, no
Frank,
Fuego.
Oh, yeah, fuego.
Frank would love to do that.
He might be in on that. You might be right.
He's my champion. I choose Frank. Nobody can take Frank. Frank's gonna be my
Actually,
champion.
thank you
for
said
the
that. That's a
challenge.
really good idea.
J Mike, did you pick your soup?
No, I'm gonna go ahead and put the bow on it now.
All right, let's go. Come on, we got a show to do.
You're right. I apologize. So
Yeah, man.
106, the CEH, if you will, of this draft. And very fitting that I'm going with a guy from Louisiana. I'm going with gumbo.
There you go.
Obviously, I'm a huge seafood gumbo fan, so I know that that's not everybody's bag, but it's definitely mine. Definitely made with a chicken broth, and you can you can do all sorts of wonderful things within a seafood gumbo, specifically andouille sausage, shrimp, green peppers, green onions. It's amazing. And again, throw a little bit of white rice in there. You still got mostly broth, but as it goes, it kind of transitions and transforms from a soup to kind of some strange amalgamation of delicious. That's just more kind of a slop as you go through.
Right.
So as the rice continues to soak up all of the delicious broth. So yeah, gumbo is my answer. And I'm pretty sure that I just got a soup one for years to come.
Wow.
I think that's the winner right there.
Isn't ramen and gumbo on the same level of like bougie? I feel like, come on, is that?
No, I think gumbo's on the other end, man. Gumbo's you're feeding 60 kids with
But that's
gumbo.
what ramen is. I mean, you're
No.
I've never seen like a
No.
college style gumbo before, though. I mean,
Right.
no.
No.
Packet of gumbo.
If you
What's
made
that
your
out there?
own ramen that's not from the
Damn.
packet, you were having a bougie date with your wife. If you're making gumbo, you're feeding like your 60 grandchildren.
Okay.
Pretty much, yeah.
I tried to slip that in there. Y'all went all Dikembe Magumbo on me.
Got him.
No.
Got him.
I'm leaving.
You got
Dikembe Magumbo.
You've been waiting this whole time for somebody to pick gumbo because you thought of that.
No gumbo for you.
You feed 60, but nobody eats.
Yep. Killing me.
All right, that's enough. Let's talk. 20 minutes in the open bar, we in here. J Mike, you keep finding I mentioned this in our tweet that we put out on Twitter, indicating that we are indeed live. You can certainly heart it, retweet it. You don't even have to be watching the show. You could be right here on the show retweeting it. That would be crazy. And then, but that's what's happening. So I don't know where I started. I can't remember, but I keep thinking about gumbo.
Man, I'm hungry now.
Which is where the brain's at. Not the brain in the bottom right, but my brain. Oh my God, J Mike, talk.
Let's do this because one of the things that make ESPN just the major media conglomerate that it is are headings like this that really pull you in. This is talking about Drew Brees. Looking on the NFL homepage now, it says what Drew Brees' return means for the Saints, Teddy Bridgewater, and Taysom Hill. Like that draws you in, right? That makes you feel like I really want to read this. I really want to check this out.
Yeah.
The video right under it, 1 minute, 42-second clip of Louis Riddick. And it says, Drew Brees is one of the greats. Okay, cool. Thanks, Louis.
Appreciate it.
Sweet. So
Appreciate
next
your time.
thing, yeah, maybe you guys will bring me back in because you had a really good heading and I enjoyed that. Next line down in terms of things, Affleck defends the Patriots. Ben Affleck, quote, Deflategate was BS. So yeah,
That's some hard-hitting analysis.
Yeah, that's all you need to know.
Do you guys ever think about like, all right, so Peter Howard is a guy that I use a lot because we're all friends with Peter Howard. This guy probably grinds like 13 and a half hours of just like watching his computer compute some sort of algorithm to do some crazy thing to give you this one tidbit of data. And then you're like, oh, ESPN just said that Drew Brees was pretty good at football. Tight. Tight. It's just so upsetting.
Yeah, man, that is brutal. It's one of those things too where like, I mean, you read something like that, or someone says something like that, and you just feel like, man, this is where Booker.
Yep.
This is how Booker gets his. He still has a job. Like this is how he's relevant when he can say stuff like that. Like, why not? Because everybody else is either that, or they're just saying random crazy stuff that they're just throwing up against the wall. Like Michael Jordan isn't in the top 50 best players all time in the NBA. Like something crazy like that, and people are like, losing their minds because, I mean, they're just trying to make headlines. So yeah, it's gotten to the point where I can just I've got the willpower now to scroll past that stuff and be like, nah, I'm good. I already know what's coming. I know what's on the other side of that link.
Yeah, essentially just talking just to talk at that point because there's no analysis behind it, right? I mean, yeah, Drew Brees is good, but what is that? That's the real question, though, right? That nobody really can answer at this point, right? Because I think one of the things with Drew Brees is that, like, while he said he's coming back, so does that mean they have a contract put in place for him already, or did he just announce he's coming back?
No, I thought he got 2 years.
He had a 2-year deal last year,
he
right?
had a 2 year.
So how much is that going to hit against the team?
So how does that in just a second?
So I mean, those are the questions that I was having, but really it's just, I mean, of course, the next question then is, okay, Teddy, we're assuming Teddy's not going to be there. Taysom's going to be the backup. All right. But I mean, that's the discussion that we need to start having, not about like how great Drew Brees is. Cause I mean, yeah, of course we know that Drew Brees is a good quarterback. We know he's destined to be in the Hall of Fame, but we're concerned about the 2020 season. So what does that mean for? I mean, what does that mean for all of the pieces in New Orleans, and also the domino effect that's going to happen with all the rest of the free agent quarterbacks now, Rivers, Brady, all the rest of those guys, and that's the real question.
Okay,
I agree, and not to sidetrack us too much, but when you mentioned Booger, all I thought was what would Peter Howard's version of the Booger Mobile look like?
oh my goodness.
So you think they go 1 for 1? What would he be showing up in the sidelines? I can't.
Just a
Possibilities are
bunch of
endless.
stuff misspelled.
Like he shows up in like a '94 LeBaron with a rolled cigarette, hanging out in the sidelines.
Yeah,
I just picture
I love Peter
graffiti across the side, just 3 letters BOA for breakout age.
There you
I think
go.
that would be. I think
either
that would
that
be
or
fitting.
something like UDFA's matter or something.
Yes,
like that.
no, that's so much better. Hashtag roster respect.
Yeah.
There you
that's
go.
it. That's
Yeah.
it.
Mhm.
So Drew Brees doesn't have a salary on either over the cap or spot track, but
See, I think that's
he
that's what I'm
does.
saying. I didn't think
No,
they
no.
had anything in place.
No, he is under contract, which is weird that there's no base salary, but his signing bonus is 15.9. And then he's 21.3 dead money, which obviously they wouldn't cut him. That would not make any sense, but
Right.
looks like they just gave him an incredibly large dead cap, and he's going to get 15.9 just for signing, and then they'll go from there is what I guess they did.
Yeah. See, I don't know. So
But
that's why
somebody
I want to look into the finances.
Somebody tweeted earlier, I was just trying to scroll through and find it, all the people that are under contract for the Saints next year. Man, it was a good tweet. I'm going to try to find it, but I mean, on the offensive side, pretty much the whole line is under contract, and then obviously Kamara and Michael Thomas are under contract as well. So, and then on the defensive side, they had a lot of really young guys, like Davenport came on late, and he didn't really produce right away. So they're pretty poised to go for another Super Bowl run. I'm glad he came back. I mean, they're equally as poised as they were last year, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I thought I had read somewhere they were losing potentially 5 of 9 starters on the defensive end, but maybe I'm wrong. I thought I had read that somewhere on Twitter.
For this season or next season?
And according to Spotrac, his cap hit next year for Drew Brees is 15.9 with the option for 2020.
15.
Cap hit. Oh, yeah, his cap hit's 15.9. His dead cap's 21.3.
That's a
but-
deal.
And Spot Track is 10.5 as a signing bonus, but over the cap is 15.9. Yeah, so 5 million more on over the cap. So whichever one you want to trust, but either way, they're going to have to negotiate his base salary still. I guess it was just like a placeholder.
Mm-hmm.
But it was
So
it was a 2-year deal. Like, I mean,
Yeah, it was reported last year when he signed, because we were worried about him retiring last year, and then it was reported that he signed a 2-year deal. But I've never seen a contract like that before, personally.
and why were we even worried that he was retiring this year? Like, what's that all about if he's just signed anyway? Because of
Just
all the
'cause he's old.
Taysom Hill hype? Everyone basically put Taysom Hill in as the Saints QB starter, and then Breeze was like, "Whoa, guys, I'm actually coming back though."
He's calling
And
Taysom
do you
Hill
think the
on,
Saints are bummed? They're like they were really pumped for Taysom time, and like Drew Brees said he's coming back, and they can't do anything about it, so they're just really
Like,
sad.
shit, we forgot he did sign a 2-year, didn't he?
They're gonna
that's
have like a
rude.
75-25 split with Taysom Hill leading the charge.
Mm-hmm.
Drew Brees is on punt coverage now.
Oh my gosh.
He's part-time offensive coordinator as well as the quarterback.
They're trying to get all their money out of him.
Yeah.
Can I ask you guys this? And this kind of is birthed from conversations that we've been having over the last several weeks, and even the conversations where people say, "Hey, we want to get out a year early and not a year late." We've got MT coming off one of the great wide receiver seasons of all time. We've got Alvin Kamara coming into, this is year 4, right? Coming into year 4.
Mm-hmm.
And this is this should be final year of his deal, right? I'm not
Yeah, he
certain
wasn't a
of that,
first-round
but-
guy. It's his last year.
Right. So we're coming up on what looks like the apex of the Saints trio as it stands. Drew Brees on the precipice of leaving. empty at the top of the mountain. Kamara now still a top 5 back in most people's eyes. Are you in the business of selling or buying these weapons in New Orleans with the uncertainty of obviously Drew Brees past this season and everything else going on? Because again, you can play this game of chicken, if you will, where you get the production, and if your team's doing really well, sweet, you ride the production. Or you can play the game of, hey, we don't know what the contract's looking like for Kamara. Is he going to hold out? Could he get hurt and his value be tanked because it's 4 years, and who's going to want to sign him and pay him what he's worth and all these other things? How are you guys navigating the landscape specifically with the Saints because of the fact the team has been so explosive? We just watched Michael Thomas do unseemly things. We watched Kamara get hurt in the middle of the year, and so his efficiency came down to some degree. Where do you guys stand with that? A year too early, a year late, just in time? What's going on?
Yeah, you're way too late on buying Michael Thomas. So just for like a little reference, this is what I try to do pretty much every year if I have elite wide receivers, because I like to build my team around wide receivers. I mean, if you could have like 5 wide receiver ones and then just figure it out elsewhere, that's my go-to. So last year I was trying so hard in every league because I had a lot of Antonio Brown to flip Antonio Brown for Michael Thomas. At the time, Antonio Brown was wide receiver 3-ish. Thomas was like wide receiver 7. And I remember putting out a tweet thread last year about every league that I tried to send Antonio Brown for Michael Thomas. And it was at a point in time where you should have been able to do that. And it was already too late. So you can't really buy Michael Thomas right now, in my opinion. Some people out there do like to buy high, but that's just not how you play Dynasty, in my opinion. There's no point in buying somebody high. You just have to try to find the next guy. So you got to try to find the guy that you can, trade your DeAndre Hopkins and get the next guy. I mean, if you can get your DeAndre Hopkins and send him for something like Godwin plus, that's the type of move that I'd be trying to make now. What's your point in buying Michael Thomas now? You're going to get a wide receiver that's going to light the world on fire, but you're going to have to sacrifice so much to purchase him. Kamara, on the other hand, though, I'd be buying Kamara because last year just didn't look like Kamara to me, and I think we saw a large enough sample to where Kamara is still Kamara, and you could probably buy him for cheaper than what he'll give you in the future.
And you are saying that you just kind of believe in the Saints offense in general.
Sure,
I mean,
absolutely. Yeah.
It's
just too expensive.
Don't buy Michael Thomas. Yeah, he's the top 3 dynasty overall, whatever. But yeah, Kamara, absolutely. I think a lot of people expected regression because his first 2 years were oddly like high in either the touchdowns or just the yards created, and it seemed like that was going to come down. And it did, but it kind of did in a weird way. I agree with you with possibly injury as well. To boot. But I think we believe in the Saints offense, and I don't know if it needs. I'm curious what it looks like with Drew Brees. I don't know. It's hard to say that like it's still going to be as elite as it is, but it seems like they have a good system, with Sean Payton and company.
Yeah, the one good thing about Michael Thomas, and I don't disagree, I wouldn't be buying him here either. But the one good thing that we learned about Michael Thomas is that his fantasy value isn't tied to Drew Brees. Brees missed some time,
right,
and Michael Thomas was still fantastic. I mean, his catch rate was great. It's 2 years in a row where his catch rate has been phenomenal. The guy catches anything that's thrown in his direction. So while I wouldn't be buying Michael Thomas, I'm definitely holding if I have him already.
Sure.
As far as Kamara goes, man, I don't think I'm buying him. I don't. I think we're heading into that year 4, year 5 window where we start seeing that running back production go down. It's really tough for running backs now in the open market to get fair value. So I just don't know how much they're going to be valued, not to mention the fact that with the rookie class this year and even next year now with some of the guys who went back, man, it seems like there's not a lot of jobs for a true bell cow type running back that's going to command 20, 25 touches a game. So to me, he might be a guy that I would probably sell. But I don't know that I want to sell him this year because I think his value is only going to go up throughout the course of the year. So I think I'd probably hold him until maybe close to midseason. And then if I'm not competing or I feel like I can move him for a bundle, I'd probably move him then.
Guys, I want to add real quick before you guys jump back in. I just looked up on DLF the February ADP that we just finished up. Aren't you guys uncomfortable that the 3rd and 4th overall players on the same team, like that, they can't both pan out, right? Michael Thomas is 3 and Alvin Kamara is 4. There's no way both of them produce up to that. And I didn't know Alvin Kamara had gotten that high. I changed my answer. I would not be buying Alvin Kamara that high. I thought he was going to be right around like Nick Chubb or Alvin Kamara. And then I'd be like, sure, I'm taking Alvin Kamara. But if they're both 3 and 4, I trust Michael Thomas's production much more, especially he could stand to even get a boost in the red zone. So that's tough. There's no way that can work out between both players maintaining ADP at 3 and 4 on the same team.
I mean, the Steelers with Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown.
Yeah, but was that really maintained though? Because basically that just happened at one point, just like Kamara and Michael Thomas happened at one point, and then it kind of fell apart. And ironically, it's going to be in a similar point in Kamara and Lev's career that's happening. I think a cliff comes way quicker for a running back than a wide receiver. And like James mentioned, Michael Thomas isn't put Taysom Hill out there. You're not going to see much of a difference for Michael Thomas. He's just, he's at can't guard Mike because you can't guard him.
Mm-hmm. And I agree with you. I mean, that's just incredibly difficult to hold that value, but
someone's got to go.
Yeah. And I also did not know that he was that high. So if any,
seems expensive.
Yeah. If anything, that would switch to a sell for me.
Kamara, yeah. Wow, I didn't recognize he had risen to that either. Because with that being the case, that means he's past Zeke, he passed Dalvin. That's
what
interesting.
Happened?
Wow,
what happened?
No,
he was a buy 2 days ago.
Hey man, the stock changes fast. Well, I mean, last month. I know that's 2019. Why do you hate me? Website. Never mind.
All right, he was
DLF
6th.
website.
He was 6th last month. He was 6th last month, behind Ezekiel Elliott, behind Christian McCaffrey, DeAndre Hopkins. Oh no, I'm sorry. That's not going to work. But yeah, he was 6th last month.
So I wonder what changed in a month that would push him up that high.
I don't get it. What happened?
Hill.
The prospect of Taysom Hill,
right?
Jambalaya Hill,
and that pushed him over the edge.
You're probably
does
right.
Things to you.
You're probably right.
Can we go back to the part where I'm not sure if you guys really have ever looked at Michael Thomas's numbers from last year? I mean, I know we get them like sprinkled in on tweets and stuff. I just want to say this because when you look at it, it's really stupid. Okay, so he played in 15 games. Of the 15 games, through my deep just bevy of research that I was doing, Gabe, as you know, I've been tracking wide receiver top 36 finishes. He had research. 4. Yeah, I know. I was killing it last year. You know what I'm saying? Just somebody needs to hire me immediately. In my deep research, 14 of his 15 games played, he was a top 36 wide receiver. That's first of all. That leads all receivers. 185 targets, 149 catches, over 1,700 yards, and for the third time in 4 years, 9 touchdowns.
Yeah, the
man averaged 107.8 yards per game on an 80% catch rate. That's stupid.
I think he maintained like something over like a 30% target share on his team. I mean, who does that?
My God.
And you know what's crazy? I remember a 5-yard out
offense too.
Right.
I remember a 5-yard out that he dropped last year. Just think about how crazy that is. Why would I remember a 5-yard out that a wide receiver dropped? It's because he's that good. I remember being on the edge of my seat because he dropped a 5-yard out in a meaningless down. That's insane.
Yeah.
The man, hold on, wait. Let me get one more thing out and keep going. He's on 185 targets. Next closest on the team was Alvin Kamara, who again missed games with injury. Kamara had 97 targets in 9 games.
Right.
The man was averaging over 10 targets a game.
There's wide receiver 2 there. It's crazy.
Right. And then the next closest out of everybody on the team was Jared Cook with 65 targets. Those guys were feasting.
And It's insane though. Michael Thomas, when you look at him, not only are those numbers just insane, right? But look at his career. Like his career low was his rookie year, where he put up 1,137 receiving yards, only 92 receptions. The only year he didn't have over 100 in his 4-year career. Like it is insane when you look at his numbers and the consistency. Every year they've gone up, and we're expecting regression this year, which is interesting. So, man. Yeah, crazy efficient and just so good every year. It's he's earned that wide receiver 1 label in my eyes for sure.
Well, yeah, and last year too, in weeks 1 through 16 in full PPR with no like bonuses or anything. I mean, he averaged 5 points more than the wide receiver 2. In points per game. Not even just not total points, just points per game over Chris Godwin. Because he missed a couple weeks too. But it's that's a good advantage to have on your team.
Yeah.
It's a big deal. It's a big deal to have a wide receiver that's reliable. He didn't have too many down games last year.
No, not really.
And Zach's in the fake chat right now, and he's talking about Traquan Smith. You almost have to.
Oh, I'm such a fan coming out.
Traquan is going to have to produce out of necessity, and I would have to look up the contract, but there's no way that they have much investment in Ted Ginn at this point. Like he didn't provide anything for the team. He ran in a straight line really, really fast and then dropped passes. And that's what you've done your whole career. So we'll just let Traquan do that. So you might need to go out and buy Traquan Smith, honestly, because Michael Thomas can maintain a 30% market share, but that still means that 70% has to go elsewhere. And Jared Cook wasn't even necessarily good. He just needed to be targeted last year. So if Traquan can make a year 3 jump, man, his value is going to go through the roof. And it's pretty low right now too. So it's really not hard for him to go up. With profit, you can flip him pretty quick.
Hey, Wildy, can I throw some cold water on what you just said for a second?
Yeah, let's hear it.
There's already an FF cold water.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to do this. Yeah, shout out to the homie Walk, who's the real FF cold water out here. So again, we talked about 2019. If we go back to 2018 numbers, again, targets: Michael Thomas 147, Alvin Kamara 105. Next closest was Ben Watson at 46. 20. So you say, hey, somebody's got to step up, right? 2017, the story is very similar. We've got Michael Thomas with 149 targets. Alvin Kamara with 100 targets. Ingram had 71, which there's hope for somebody else, right? Yeah. And Ted Ginn had 70 targets. So
yeah, Taysom Hill 71 targets.
Mike, this is what I want you to do. I want you to take all of Ted Ginn's targets and add them to Traquan Smith, and that's what we're gonna do.
Okay.
and then that's where we're gonna get our increase in Traquan Smith. How many targets did you say you had?
Ted Ginn plus Traquan last year would be 81 targets.
Yeah, there we go. Give me 81 targets for. Come on, I'm not being stingy. Just give me 81 for Traquan. He's going to get, average 80 yards a catch. And there you go.
The problem is you're going to have
rate like Will Fuller 2 years ago.
You're going to have the Dan Arnolds of the world, the Austin Cars, all those guys coming
Josh Hill.
All those guys coming in still. And so,
right.
I'm going to check Traquan's ADP real quick. I was just looking at it earlier.
Yeah, I just took a peek, and I mean, we don't have to necessarily argue about what his production is going to be just because of how inexpensive it is to acquire Traquan Smith. Yeah.
What's his ADP?
I was a huge Traquan Smith fan coming out of college. He's done nothing but broken my heart for 2 years. So year 3, here we go. It's out on the line again.
Well, let's ask this. On the Dynasty Trade Calculator, 12 team, 12 team, this is funny, 12 team PPR, Superflex, Traquan Smith, 0.9 on the calculator.
Right.
That's a 0.9 for those scoring at home. Ouch. Rookie pick number 312 is 1.2. Would you rather would you rather have the 312 or Traquan Smith?
That's
312. I'll take the 312.
That's just pure hate. Yeah. Dante Pettis or Traquan Smith?
Oh, Traquan. All right, come on.
Now we're talking.
What?
Give me Traquan Smith. I'm sorry.
This is how
I'll let Pettis sit on my bench like Devontae Parker did, and hope that in 3 years
they
he
hate
unburies
him.
himself from the bench.
When
Jay,
Ryan
they hate
Tannehill
him so
traded,
much. He
when
comes
Ryan
to
Fitzpatrick-
practice and they look at him like he's out of place. Like they're like, "Why did you come? Like you could just stay home. We'll still pay you. Just stay at home." That's how they feel about Dante Pettis.
Like, hey, coach, Dante wants some reps. Who? Dante who?
Man.
Say his name one more time and I'm gonna cut both of you. That's how they feel.
It's crazy too because last year it wasn't like that at all. You know.
No, oh, well, I
no.
don't. Something happened in off season. I think he stopped wearing his shorts over top of his compression shorts, and then they were like, "No, we're not cool with that, man."
Yeah, the
That's
new
what
looks.
had to happen.
Nah.
I think though, if you're
Smith or Traquan, one more.
one more,
Traquan,
This is so fascinating.
Traquan Smith or Taysom Hill, but you can put him in at wide receiver.
Taysom Hill. That's easy.
come on,
That's easy.
In one
Guys-
QB, QB still.
This
easy?
this Taysom Hill hate's got to stop. You guys know he counted to infinity 3 times. Taysom Hill, man, all day. I'll take Taysom. Yeah, I'm telling you, Chuck Norris
who
wears
said he was
Taysom
the
Hill
best player on the
pajamas.
field? There was,
Oh my
there was a
God.
reputable report that said he was the best player on the field in their
Oh, I
playoff
had to
game.
laugh.
If you average out everything,
Who was that? We
potentially-
need to put them on blast. This is the open bar. We need to put reputable sources on blast. That Taysom Hill
No, just
was
because they got
not.
a blue check mark next to their name doesn't mean they're a
Oh.
reputable source.
Oh, okay.
It's
Talk
probably
about
somebody
it.
just talking wild.
But there's other guys like Traquan that we could be investing in, just like Traquan, that you're getting them so incredibly cheap that there's almost nowhere you can. Traquan is like you hit rock bottom. I mean, if you could probably spend a fourth, and like they say, you can't go anywhere but up. And if he gets elevated
Well-
markets next year, because they're not going to pay. They're not going to pay to bring Ted Ginn in again. He didn't do anything. It reminded me of when he was on the Cardinals 2 years ago, and he literally just fair caught for them. Like he was the designated fair catcher for an entire year and made a full contract. That's what it reminded me of last year. They were like, just run as far as you can and we'll throw it. So I don't think that they bring them back. So let's just give them 30 more, 40 more targets. And wide receivers take a little while to develop anyways. We got to be patient with these guys. So I'll change my mind. I'll throw the 312 for Traquan and just, get another year of Drew Brees, get that elevation, and then, trade him maybe for a second.
I'm actually trying to scoop up. I like Deontay Harris on the Saints. If you want to do a Ted Ginn replacement, I know he's tiny,
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
but he's free everywhere.
He's
for the
free,
most
right?
part. And I mean, at least he was an All-Pro returner. So if you
Yeah.
can just transition that into a little bit better deep threat,
Mhm.
he's much faster than Traquan.
Me and Chris talk about that all the time. These players that are like fringe relevant, like I like them to produce on special teams. I think it matters more than any of us want to give any credit for. Like if you want your random man crush that sits on your end of your bench or your taxi squad to eventually be something, you definitely want them to be producing on special teams, or else they won't even maintain their roster spot.
Yeah, have them be useful elsewhere versus
Right.
having them just be sitting on the bench, like literally on the bench, not doing anything, and then
Expendable.
hoping for an injury or for somebody else to get into the doghouse or whatever.
Yep, that's
You
how they
need
never
them.
pan out.
Yeah. Now, I'd much rather that than watching guys especially since we're just talking about like Dante Pettis. I mean, what's his path
Nothing.
to getting back out on the field? I mean, minus injury.
And Kendrick Bourne stepped up so much. My man, Kendrick Bourne.
Kendrick Bourne stepped up. Richie James was out
Richie
there
James
doing
stepped up.
backflips.
Kendrick
I mean,
Man,
Bourne.
2018 is having a party.
Right. Kendrick
freaking
Bourne
kidding.
caught every important pass ever. Like if you throw it to him on like a 2nd and 10, he's not catching it. He's like, I don't have time for that pass.
I mean,
if you throw it to him on 3rd and long or in the red zone, he's gonna catch the ball.
the Juice was out there
Kendrick
catching
Bourne.
touchdowns before Dante Pettis was. Juice. I mean,
True.
Kyle Juszczyk was out there like doing much more than we saw Dante Pettis like throughout the entire season.
True.
So I mean, that speaks a lot to where his value's at right now.
Yeah, basically, if you're gonna suck, you better be producing on special teams so that we can keep you on the end of our bench.
Yep.
Yo,
Somebody said Richie James, and I've just been blocking y'all out ever since then because he's
Dikembe
one of my all-time
Mutombo?
favorites. So
Oh, okay, good.
as soon as I hear his name, I just think about his college tape and how high I was on him when he came
What
out.
could have been? What could have
Better
been?
than Dante
Mhm.
Pettis.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'll give you that. I'll give you that. I'll take Richie James all day. But
Oh man,
That's so bad. Wow.
J Mike, you did that thing that Russ did where he posted the Twitter poll, and if they won the Twitter poll, you made the trade, right?
Yes,
So,
I did that.
The first time Russ ever did that, I got him with Dante Pettis and a 4th for AJ Green when Dante Pettis hype was high. Yeah.
Boom.
Obviously, AJ Green didn't play last year, so it didn't end up being
You did
that
Dante
crazy.
Pettis.
But it was so much fun. I love that you guys did that. I would not do that, but I love that you guys did that because all I did was just look at my roster and I was like, who's the most hyped, terrible player on my team? And I pull up Dante Pettis. I'm like, oh my goodness. Okay, I just need to find somebody on his team who people aren't high on right now because Twitter's crazy. And that's what I did. And I throw a little 4th on there because people like to see 2 things for one thing. There you go. Got AJ Green.
And all the AJ Green hates heavy too, so
He
that
gets
probably
look
was.
this year's Traquan Smith with that 4th round pick.
And that's you talk about one of the scarier things that you can do in fantasy football. I thought it would be a fun thing to do, and then what's rough is that the offers that you get, and I tried to limit it to where, like, basically if you can send me one offer in a league. You don't send me like 15 offers. I'm not going to post all those. But the ones that you think are going to end up going through, and thankfully I didn't have anything that was egregious. I think the one trade that that went through, my side was the 111 and Dawson Knox, and I was giving that for Austin Eckler in the league. It's a 2 tight end, start 2 tight ends.
Okay.
So. And they voted for the other side, so essentially that's one of, I think, maybe 2 trades out of like the 11 that I posted. But all in all, man, you talk about wanting to live a dangerous and exhilarating life. Do that once, and you will your butt cheeks will pucker real tight for 24 hours.
Yeah.
Those votes come in.
Yeah.
Well, especially with the league setting,
Gumbo
like
on the side, huh?
Oh my gosh.
well, with the league setting like 2 tight ends, putting that to the masses that's a
It's
risky
scary
move.
because people just click what they see.
Did you get any, J Mike?
You mean, did I get any
Any-
actual?
Yeah, for any that went through?
Yeah, I think 2. I'm going to try to pull up the thread now.
Yeah.
J Mike, let me test your character real quick. If you got an insanely
Huh.
good offer, would you make burner accounts to vote on the side that you wanted, or would you just accept it?
You act like he doesn't already have those.
I'm from
see
the
myself creating burner accounts to vote on the side that I wanted to make it go through, or are you allowed to just accept it? Like, you know what? We don't need to do all this nonsense. I'm just going to take it.
I am from the Kevin Durant school of burner account.
Right.
No, I'm just kidding.
let me just go ahead and look up. Let's see. Look at that. Oh, see. Look at these Twitter handles. J Mike 01, J Mike 02, J Mike 03.
Jay
He
Michelle
didn't even try to
Gumbo.
hide it. He didn't try to hide it at all.
I just
J-Mike
got
check
followed by
one,
15 different
J-Mike
J-Mike variations. Like, what is this is that Dave Chappelle skit. He's talking about going through the hood. Gun store, liquor store, gun store, liquor. Where are you taking me?
Right.
At Gumbo is a soup on Twitter.com.
Oh yeah.
Zach said
That
Kim
can't-
Bay
that
with
can't be
Gumbo.
J-Mike. That can't-
definitely not Kyle would vote for you.
Right. Yeah.
At the Kim Bay
Definitely not
Gumbo.
Kyle
Yeah.
1. Definitely not Kyle 2.
Yeah, so I've got that thread pulled up. I'll try to pull some of the more interesting ones out and just see what you guys think of it.
All right.
So in a 14-team Superflex league, which would you rather have? Lamar Jackson and Sam Darnold, or Carson Wentz and Dalvin Cook?
Can you say it
Again,
one more time?
team-
You said
yeah,
I have to
side-
write it. If I don't write
Side
it, I
A,
can't.
and then I'll reveal which side was mine. Lamar Jackson and Sam Darnold, or Carson Wentz and Dalvin Cook in a 14-team Superflex.
All right. Do we have an order here? Or are we just spouting it out?
Man.
Yeah, so give me
Got
Lamar
two
and
selves
Darnold.
on either
Lamar.
side and 2 buys on either side.
Yeah, Lamar and Donald.
Lamar.
Yeah, I'm
I mean,
on
not
Lamar
to say-
Darnold side too.
Yeah,
Bias
It's
sides, I'll
not
give you
good.
Lamar.
Not to say Cook's not fantastic, but it's time to sell. He's got to go. He's got to be off your roster soon.
Yep.
And
Lamar.
That's what you do with those guys. I'm sorry. You sell your Cook and you draft your next Cook. That's what you got to do.
Give me the MVP.
yeah, so 219 votes. And my team already has the Lamar side.
Oh, no.
66% of 219 votes went with the Lamar side, so no trade there. I keep my side.
Good.
Nice.
Let's go down to the next one that I thought would also
Cheeks
be interesting.
unclenched.
Right.
For now.
All right. A guy
Yeah.
There you go. A guy that we talked about earlier. Again, 12 team, 1 QB. You have to calibrate a bit, James. I know one
How are you
QB is
still
not
in that
really your
league?
bag. We'll
Yeah,
work with you.
I'm gonna have to work with the right side of my mind. Get out of the left side right now.
You might have
All
to
right.
abstain from this one. It might be too much.
This is my 1-1 QB league, and I love the group of guys, and that's why I'm in it. One side has Zeke Elliott.
Okay.
The other side, David Montgomery. The 2020 102 and a 2021 first round pick. Now, I also forgot to mention this is 0.2 points per carry. Again, 0.2 points per carry. One side has Zeke Elliott. The other side, David Montgomery, the 102, and a 2021 first.
Pick side. That's easy.
Pick side,
That's exactly
easy.
what you need to do with Zeke right now. Like,
Yeah.
if you're listening right now and you have Zeke, you need to go find this trade and you need to go make this trade. This is what you have to
I'll
do.
that easy.
You do this with running backs in their, 4th, 5th year, even though he has a stupid $96 million contract. Still do it.
Okay. And my side was the David Montgomery side that I already had. And that's the
Okay.
side that won again, 66% on 213 votes.
Good.
So kept that again. I already told you guys the one trade that I did make. Oh, and here's, you know what? And I'm gonna comment on this here in a minute.
Oh, no.
Ooh,
So Russ came at me with 2 trades.
Magumbo.
So he cheated, is what you're saying. Russ
Well,
was a
he went
cheat.
different. We're different leagues. We're different. Yeah.
This is Russ coming in as Jordan when Matumbo said he couldn't dunk on him.
and this is what cut me deep is that this is Russ's game. I shouted out Russ that I wanted to play his game, and then he tried to do me dirty. It's the first trade. Mike Evans and Christian Kirk on one side. The other side's Tyreek Hill and the 2023rd.
Try to
Can you
do
say
you
it one more
dirty
time, please?
indeed.
See how you do? How he tried to do me.
Let me get
So
one more.
Mike Evans and Christian Kirk, and then Hill and a third.
What's he have
Yep.
to do, J. Mike?
What does Mike
At
Evans have
what
to do?
point in the Tyreek Hill saga are we when this trade was offered?
This is January 28th. So what? 3 weeks ago? Yeah, about 3 weeks
Oh,
ago.
okay. So this
Oh,
wasn't
we're
like
good.
last.
Good
season.
and fine.
Yeah.
We're good until next time.
Peak
All right,
Tyreek,
so-
maybe.
Evans and Kirk.
Yeah, about
If-
Evans Kirk.
Mhm.
That's not really close to me.
No, I don't think so either. The difference
Uh,
between Evans and Hill is like, okay, whatever. Flip a coin on who's going to score more points next year. Flip a coin who's going to score more points in the next 2 years. And then Christian Kirk in the third, obviously. Christian Kirk.
Yeah, I think that's how I'm looking at it too.
Mhm.
I mean, between if you were to compare them side by side, Evans and Hill, I'd say I'd lean Hill, but it's not significant. But then between Christian Kirk and a third, I mean, that's easily the Kirk side. So yeah, I think I'm on the Evans Kirk side.
Yep.
As was
Are Mike
84%.
Yeah. I was gonna say, are Mike Evans and Tyreek like that far apart? Because
No,
I'd
they
have
shouldn't.
them as a coin flip, really.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I lean Reek, but it's not significant. I think
Sure.
either way.
And
Okay.
Kirk's certainly not a 3rd round pick. Russ,
no.
what's your problem,
Yeah.
man? Let's come on, everybody at this man, if we
Wait.
can call him
I love
that.
Here's my
Well,
I
other
love Russ.
I think last
Russ
season,
is
as you
bad.
go through the year,
Love
you're
you, Russ.
you're happier about clicking Tyreek Hill as the start option in your lineup versus Mike Evans, the way he was up and down. But
Mhm.
we're in the offseason now. Mike Evans doesn't usually get into trouble.
Yeah, I just
You're going to
yeah.
carry a lot of risk from now until August, September that you don't need to.
Yes, well, 100% right. I was just about to say the exact same thing. I'm like, if this is why Dynasty is crazy, man. I have to evaluate this in my head. This is how you lose sleep playing so many Dynasty leagues. Do I want the extra 15 points from Tyreek Hill, or do I want to sleep at night knowing that Mike Evans probably isn't going to get arrested I'm probably going to take the Evans side and just have the comfort. And then you have Kirk versus a third. It's like, okay, obviously I'm going to take Christian Kirk versus the third. So that's a pretty easy one for me too. I've talked to people about this. I try not to roster guys that have been in previous trouble, whether he did it or not, because we can't actually prove that he did anything. That's why he's still playing and didn't get any suspension. But being in the news like that, I would just rather have Evans. So this is the type of deal I would actually be trying to make to get out from under Tyreek if I had him.
Yeah.
You're going to have to do a little bit more than that.
and it
I
was
would
funny.
think.
And
I don't know.
I've got to give some context here. Russ had just taken over this orphan in this league.
Right.
Shout out to Jesse Reeves. I see you in the chat, Jesse. He came in and bounced real quick.
Right.
But he took over an orphan, and he had been wanting to get rid of Tyreek in the worst way.
Right.
And so this exercise gave him the out that he so desperately wanted.
Yeah.
And again, 84% went with my side, which is a Mike Evans, Christian Kirk, so no trade.
Mm-hmm.
And this is probably the next most interesting of the scoring or of the voting. Curious where you guys land with this one. This is Trade Addict scoring. On one side, Devontae Adams.
Mm-hmm.
On the other side, Aaron Jones, Michael Gallup, and a 2023rd. Again, Devontae Adams on one side, Aaron Jones on the other with Michael Gallup, 2023rd. Trade Addict scoring, which for those scoring at home, PPR, and the tight end, obviously premium doesn't matter for this specific trade. So what do you guys think?
Adams.
Adams easy.
Adams.
Adams hasn't hit his peak yet. So we talked about earlier, we want to take those wide receivers like DeAndre Hopkins and trade them for your Godwin plus or something like that. I don't know that somebody would do that at that point because Godwin was the wide receiver 2 last year, but that's just what I try to do. And I don't think Adams has reached that peak yet where you have to do that. So and the fact that Aaron Jones' snap percentage was it's like 54, 56, something like that. Just going
Jamal
on
still ate into that quite a bit, even if he was out for 3 games. 4
And
games.
Jamal
Touchdowns.
It's not really
Yeah,
fair that
Yeah,
Jamal
he's
Williams
got
is a mermaid.
major touchdown regression coming.
Yeah.
And Jamal Williams is a mermaid, so it's really not fair for Aaron Jones
Not fair.
going forward.
I don't mind selling Aaron Jones though. I just don't really want to do the package up to go and get someone, I guess.
You mean you would
Or-
rather have
I mean-
package than Adams?
No. I'm sorry. I misspoke. I want Adams, but I think if I were to sell Aaron, I would take the Adams side there, but I guess I don't know. I still want to replace Aaron Jones with a running back maybe, and I figure I could sell Aaron Jones, high of sorts for running back plus.
I would want a pick involved that allowed me to get Edwards Hilaire.
Are we sleeping a little bit on Michael Gallup?
That's what I wanted to ask.
And
That's what I wanted to ask.
This came up in the chat too, and I personally was fast asleep on Michael Gallup. He had like a pretty sneaky good season, and I don't know. I've just have him super undervalued. So with he's not just an add into this trade for me.
No.
I mean, it does help when in week 17 you put up 3 touchdowns, to add to your overall fantasy score. But even before that, even with missing a couple of games, he had a pretty good under the radar year, and I think could be the future there. I don't know. I guess I still take Adams, assuming that he progresses. But he's 27, turning 28, has a pretty big concussion history, and he's not like a safe, like a super safe player overall, in my opinion.
Well, let's look at what the Cowboys have done recently, because since we chose to play this hobby, Dynasty League football, we have to care about what the teams are doing. They just handed Zeke a $96 million contract that's not going to really let them sign Dak Prescott. And if they do sign Dak Prescott, they're most definitely not going to sign Amari Cooper. So you're playing with a double-edged sword, because you might get wide receiver 1 Michael Gallup, or you might get Michael Gallup without Dak Prescott, who I think is an above average quarterback. At least it's so hard to get average quarterbacks in this league. So if they don't sign Dak and they keep Amari, That's going to be tough for Michael Gallup. That's going to be really tough for whatever quarterback comes in there. So you're buying Michael Gallup thinking he should definitely produce. But if you get the flip side of your coin, Dak leaves and Amari stays, well, goodness gracious, there goes my Michael Gallup wide receiver 1, you know?
Yeah, but if you hit on that, that's a big boon.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I get that. That's the risk assessment for it. Is
Sure.
where I'm thinking. I just think Michael Gallup might be having some upside that at least me personally, I wouldn't say everybody at all, but I really haven't sat down and really thought about where I put Michael Gallup in the ranks of wide receivers and where I would take him in the group or how I'd want him on my team. So that's it kind of enlightened to me when somebody was complaining that Michael Gallup wasn't valued enough, and I was like, oh, well, maybe he isn't.
And Bobby mentions you can flip Gallup for more in the fake chat, but the problem is if he doesn't hit, nobody's going to touch him with a 10-foot pole. If Amari doesn't leave and Dak does leave, you're stuck with a guy that's going to be ADP 100 plus. Whereas if Amari does leave and Dak stays, you're going to be talking about a guy that's like in the 35 range. That's tough, man. That's a tough pill.
Yeah. Well, if Devontae Adams has another foot issue crop up, or gets another cheap shot taken at him across the middle, I feel like we're in a similar context. But I mean, I agree that Devontae Adams I still am a huge fan of Devontae Adams. I just think he carries more risk, in my opinion, than what we're thinking of.
Mm-hmm.
I find Gallup interesting in reference to, again, a guy coming into his 3rd season who's gotten better over this first 2 seasons. Mm-hmm. And last season only saw 6 less targets than Amari Cooper. 6 less targets and 82 less yards. So whether Cooper's there or not, we're looking at Gallup likely being, again, probably the number 2 target getter in the offense. And we're looking at a guy who's probably going to likely give you a wide receiver 2 numbers. Well, let's say top 30, top 30 numbers as likely the floor if he's going to be getting 113 targets. And if that's the case, and he has room to either be chief in the pecking order in Dallas, the term that Ryan McDowell talks a lot about is that whole buying back years. We just talked about Adams. You said he's going to be turning 28. Is that what you guys said? So he's 20. He's either 27. I think he's 27 now, and he will be 28. Gallup is going to be entering the season, just turned 24 in April. You're buying back 4 years. And what happens if you do take Aaron Jones? Can you flip Aaron Jones for 2 firsts? Or can you tear down to, I don't know, looking at ADP, can I tear down to Miles Sanders, which is about 6 spots down in ADP, and get a 112 on top of that or something like that? I'm just trying to figure out in my head where, because this, again, I guess I buried the lead here on that voting. This was the closest one by far. Devontae Adams, which is the player that I have, he was 52.3% to the 47.7% on the other side. So either a lot of Aaron Jones truthers are there, or a lot of folks who are big on Michael Gallup's ascension is there. And I think that deal is a lot closer than we originally as a group just kind of gave it, because I originally saw it and I was like, he's going to get this one to go through, and I'm going to be pissed because I don't want Aaron Jones on my team. I don't want to be a Honda student for Aaron Jones. Every other podcast that you listen to left and right is saying you need to sell Aaron Jones. The regression's coming, everything else. Like, I'm going to get stuck with Aaron Jones, and I'm going to be sick. But it didn't happen. But I keep looking at that one. I'm like, well, maybe some interesting things could happen to be able to get that to swing the way you want it to. So, I was curious your all's thoughts on that. That's good.
J-Mike, Jones is a good sell, but you're not going to sell him for something like Miles Sanders. That guy's on the up and up. I mean, the crazy thing is, me and Chris just
ADP says you can. ADP says you can.
But Chris and I just talked about this a couple podcasts ago, where it was like, I remember I personally remember 4 weeks of Miles Sanders destroying my DFS lineups, but everybody else remembers 2 weeks of Miles Sanders lighting up their DFS lineups. You know what I mean? So it's what have you done for me recently? And Miles Sanders recently, he just turned it on at the end of the season. I would have to look at, you know what you could do though is some people are just so sour on David Montgomery. And hey, I hear you. I mean, he didn't do what we thought he would do, but you mentioned the 112, so I just kind of did something in my head. Jones for Montgomery in the 112 is something that could probably happen. And you're looking at some pretty good players at that 112 range. So to your point, if you could just take, instead of doing this, if you could take Jones and send him for Montgomery in the 112, divvy up Gallup, and then like Zach said, yeah, you're buying back years and you're getting age, but are you ever going to get David Adams numbers out of Michael Gallup? I don't necessarily believe so. I don't even know that if Michael Gallup was the wide receiver 1, that you would get Devontae Adams numbers out of him.
I don't think you would.
So that's tough too. And you know, the thing that was most impressive about Michael Gallup coming out was his production in the red zone. So that's very good too. But
he's not used all that much in the red zone. Past 2 seasons, he's like 4th in targets in the red zone. He's been behind Cole Beasley when Beasley was still there, Jason Witten, Amari this past year. Zeke had more targets in the red zone.
So how much has to happen? How much has to happen to get Gallup to produce in Devontae Adams? So basically all I'm doing is breaking this down. You know what? If you have this package, don't even try to go get Adams. But I don't mind trading all these guys if you don't want to play that 50-50 Russian roulette with Gallup and see what happens with the Cowboys.
You know what's really interesting about Devontae Adams is, you know, we all expect Green Bay is going to add to that wide receiver core, right? And if they do that, regardless whether that's through the draft or via free agency or both, because they're, you know, they have some depth issues there. But if they replace, you know, some of those guys, what does that do to Devontae Adams? I mean, this Green Bay team became a run first, lean on the defense type of squad, and Aaron Rodgers, by all means, really enjoyed that type of offense. I mean, by his own admission, he thinks it's going to extend his career. He's going to be 38 next year too. So I mean, if we're cutting in Devontae Adams targets, what does that do to his numbers? Because I mean, he's going to have to be ultra efficient to try to put up the numbers that he has been, if that's the case. And we all expect an Aaron Jones regression for touchdowns, but that doesn't mean those go to Devontae Adams. So I'm curious, what do you guys think? If Green Bay adds a receiver there, what does that do to Devontae Adams?
Well, I mean, if he's already clocking, I mean, Devontae Adams is already clocking like a 27-28% target share in that offense. And we were just talking not earlier in the show about how Michael Thomas, when he has like nobody behind him for receiving, he's playing with an aging quarterback as well. So if we're not worried about Michael Thomas, and I get that Michael Thomas has like the high efficiency already, but Devontae Adams has already shown he can operate as an alpha receiver in that offense. So I don't care about, I mean, give me the other receivers, have them draw more defense, you know, more defensive coverage away from Devontae Adams. I'm thinking about it from that perspective, because if they're actually able to actually perform and do their jobs more so than Geronimo Allison, Alan Lazard, I mean, those guys that were basically nothing in terms of a defensive coverage, yeah, give me those guys that can actually pull the defense away from Devontae Adams and actually allow him to operate better as an alpha. I think that's what could be a positive for him. Looking at
that's an interesting way to look at it, and you're absolutely right. It could have that effect on him. I think that's, for me, the big thing for me with Michael Thomas was I had those same questions about him, but when Breeze got hurt, we saw what he could do with another quarterback. To me, an average quarterback in Teddy Bridgewater. I don't know that I've seen that with Devontae Adams. I don't know that I've seen, I mean, with Rodgers out, he struggled, and obviously they didn't really have anybody behind him that was nearly as good as Teddy Bridgewater was. So, you know, we have to take that with the, you know, the way that we can see it. But I'm just curious what happens with Adams being tied to not only the older quarterback, but also a quarterback who looks like he wants it looks like this offense, and he wants, you know, he doesn't want to fling the ball around the field 40 times, you know? So I'm just curious if that has any negative effect. It sounds like you, Adam, think that there could be a positive effect to bring in another wide receiver. And I kind of think that might be the case too.
Well, I'm all for it. I think Adams has operated as his second season. So when Jordy was out, and then we were pretty much hoping that he would kind of ascend. That didn't happen. I would say for at least the past like 2 to 3 seasons, he's been that wide receiver one that we wanted him to be from the jump. and I think he can continue to be that way, like regardless if they bring in like more players to work around and be that wide receiver 2 or whatever. I think he's been efficient enough that, and also held the target share such that even if they bring in somebody this season or whatever, get somebody in free agency, although I don't really think there's too much out there in the free agency market that could challenge him for targets. But either way, I think he's shown enough talent on field the past like few seasons that I'm not worried about it. I would much rather have Adams like on that side of the trade.
And James, let's remember they have been trying to get production out of the second wide receiver position. We have ESB, we have Moore, we have Geronimo, we have Lazard.
Yep.
They brought in
How much draft capital do we have there, though?
they bought in
5th, 6th rounders. I think
But,
ESP
well,
was like a 6th rounder.
3 in a row, 4th, 5th, and 6th. But
Yeah.
the point is, it's not to lack of trying. And Devontae Adams wasn't productive at first either. He was behind Jordy Nelson and Randall Cobb. And I still remember the game where Jordy Nelson and Randall Cobb got hurt in the same game. And I remember Devontae Adams getting 6 targets and dropping all of them. And I remember
He had a rough start.
yeah, and I remember Aaron Rodgers saying that he's not going to pass to guys who can't catch the ball. So It wasn't an easy start for him either. So this all to say, there is nobody coming into that organization quickly and taking production away from Devontae Adams. Not in the next 2 years. It takes a long time for a wide receiver to develop rapport with Aaron Rodgers because the guy's going to get himself 8 seconds in the pocket, and then he's going to find the guy he wants to find. He's not going to settle for, the open receiver. He's going to make a receiver open, and that's Devontae Adams. So this is just where I get into like, okay, what's the real NFL doing? Because Aaron Rodgers is just that weird guy that I just want to throw to Devontae Adams. So where Michael Thomas is, they can't guard Mike, that he's just open all the time. Devontae Adams might not be as good as Michael Thomas, but man, for lack of trying, Devontae Adams is going to get just as much targets as Michael Thomas because that's who Aaron Rodgers wants to throw to.
So a pivot with a second wide receiver coming in that's an actual threat, let's say a deep threat, why wouldn't that up Aaron Jones' stock for next year? Why wouldn't
just his snap percentage? Just his snap. Just the fact that Jamal Williams is on the same contract. They're on the same contract. Neither of them were first-round picks. So Aaron Jones is obviously, in my opinion, much more talented than Jamal Williams, but I think they're both productive running backs. And just the fact that they just happen to both be drafted at the same time, be on the same contract, it's really tough for Aaron Jones to get more than I wish I knew the number, but it was 50 or 60% snap share. Jamal Williams is just always going to get that 40%. And if next year the tides turn and Jamal Williams gets more touchdowns, your Aaron Jones stock goes down, even though Aaron Jones is much better of a running back.
Aaron Jones loses a lot of the passing game work to Jamal Williams. So I think that helps. That hurts a lot too. But let me ask you guys one more question with this Green Bay thing, because being as close to Green Bay, and I know Chris, you as well follow this, but being as close as we are, a name that I hear bantered about a lot, because you hear more along the lines of veterans coming in than actual rookies being drafted. But a name that I hear a lot is AJ Green getting floated around. AJ Green went to Green Bay. This is a veteran wide receiver. We don't think that could potentially hurt Devontae Adams a little bit.
I haven't seen that. That would be awesome.
I mean, yeah, that would, because with the way both of them play and like their route combinations and I guess where AJ Green is at in his career versus where like how Devontae Adams has been used so far, I guess it makes sense that I think that specific example, yes, that would hurt Devontae Adams. But I can see that.
Are they not the same player? That would be very interesting.
That would be, to be quite honest. But
Jimmy Graham.
Yeah,
I kid.
That would be cool. That would be cool. I would like to see that, and that would be. You know what? That's a good point, James. I don't know. I can't tell you. I don't know. I don't know what it's like to be in a world where Devontae Adams doesn't have a ridiculous market share.
Let's say two elite wide receivers. Well, I don't know if I hope AJ Green's still elite. He's like one of my favorite players, but still, like two really good wide receivers, like on the same team.
Can we actually imagine AJ Green in a situation where he can win like that? That would be
Yeah,
fun, right?
about
Seeing
it.
seeing AJ Green in some playoff football, like that would be
Man,
that would be cool.
That
I live
would
an
be so
hour.
much
I live an hour
fun,
from
man.
Cincinnati, and I've been hoping for that like since he got drafted. Man,
He
like, it's just-
deserves it. 1,000 yards every
Cincinnati's been in the
year.
playoffs. They've just been, you know.
First round, but
Yeah.
first round 5 years in a row. You know what? That's a fun topic to talk
That's
about
like
too.
that's like hoping
Do
Allen
you-
Robinson gets a good quarterback. I mean, it's just
Right.
it's probably not going to happen.
Yeah, but why does he want to stay with the Bears? He could get out. But you talk about that. Do you want to go first round 5 years in a row, or do you want to go to the AFC Championship? You know what I mean? What's the difference? I don't know.
Give me the AFC Championship, to be honest.
I think so too, because you were right there. You were right there. The closest the Bengals have ever been to actually getting to the second round of the playoffs, Andy Dalton wasn't even starting against the Steelers, and the Steelers rallied late.
No, it was Joey Porter. That's why.
Was it? No, it
Yeah.
wasn't. I don't
That
know
was
who Joey Porter is, but I
No,
think
he's
it
the
was
linebacker
somebody
for
else.
the Steelers, right?
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
the game where Joey
Yeah.
Porter came out on the field and then got everybody in trouble. I'm not.
Yeah.
I-
Oh, yeah. Okay, I know what you're talking about.
Joey Porter was good
You-
at that, getting everybody else in trouble. He
Chris,
excelled at that.
you're not bitter about that at all, Chris.
No, I'm not upset at all.
So one last
He
point
didn't even
about
get on the field. Why was all right?
yeah. So I just pulled this up for a moment of interest for Michael Gallup, because now that they have Mike McCarthy, the analytics guru, at the head coaching job at the Dallas Cowboys. So Michael Gallup only finishes wide receiver 34 on PFF's overall wide receiver rankings, which I assume that McCarthy just logged into his PFF account that he had just established and pulled these up for the Cowboys in the offseason. So I mean, my research hasn't started too much yet. So maybe we should be lower. Mr. Gallup. Sorry, I stepped away for a second.
See, I don't know. I mean, I don't think that we're sleeping on Gallup, but I don't think that he is like so underrated that we need to, like, I guess, raise his value. I mean, the dude had, like, again, he was second on the team in targets. I mean, and this is just, I mean, in a perfect scenario where everybody comes back, right? Like Dak's back, Amari's back. I don't know what they're going to do, like, on the defensive side. I don't know how they're going to do it. I'm just saying it in a, like, assuming no off-season craziness happens and the offense is as it was last season, minus Jason Witten, because he can go on somewhere. But assuming everybody else is there,
he's with Peter Howard in the Petermobile.
yeah, he can go to New York and go play with Garrett. You can go play with him. But I'm just saying, like, if the two of them, if like Amari and Gallup still have the chance to play off of each other, then, I mean, Amari still gets his, 27% target share. Let's kick up Gallup a little bit more because Jason Witten's gone, because Jason Witten had 120 targets or something like that last season. So shovel some of those to Michael Gallup. We're assuming, I don't know if Cobb is going to be there. I don't know about his contract situation. I forget like how much like he's owed. But either way, if Cobb is still going to be their third, then okay, fine. But still, I could still foresee Gallup having somewhere around a 23-24% market share, and that's still a pretty hefty amount of targets.
Well, let's remember that, like I mentioned earlier, Gallup was the red zone guy when he came out. He was like, if you guys remember, he was like the cult classic. Like, he was the guy everybody sweared upon, but then the people that were,
that was like his calling card, I guess.
Yeah, everyone was like,
and it never worked out that way.
He was the guy that it was like you were being a cool hipster if you liked Michael Gallup, and it's because he was so productive in the red zone, and he hasn't even been utilized in the red zone. So if we could get him utilized in the red zone, that's a lot of points. The guy hasn't really been utilized in the red zone, especially with Amari Cooper, and it's sad because Amari Cooper drops all his red zone targets. So if Amari Cooper does move on, and you could talk yourself into the fact that Michael Gallup goes back to doing what he was phenomenal at, which is being a red zone target. Yes, he's a fantastic asset, probably a top 20 receiver, to be honest with you. And he profiled to be a potential top 20 receiver. I'm not going to take that away from him. Even though he was a late first, early second round pick when we drafted him, it wasn't for lack of trying. It was, we know that he's going to be productive in the red zone. We know that he's ready to step into that role. It's just that the Cowboys didn't use him there. And hopefully if Amari does move on, you get the good side of the coin, because like I said earlier, it's probably a coin flip whether or not his situation improves or gets worse. But if his situation improves, you might be seeing a rocket ship for Michael Gallup.
Mm-hmm.
And going back to what you said as well earlier, Adam, mentioning not being able to sign both of them, is that, I don't want to necessarily go back to it for a long time, but is that true? I mean, it seems like they have possibly the cap to do it, or even just, I've heard tagging one or
Sure,
even both with the transition tag. So, I mean, I don't know. I feel like they could keep both even.
Well,
Why
Ezekiel
not?
put them in a very, very poor situation. So
Yeah.
for dynasty purposes, we do care about the fact that they can tag, and they can tag Dak. They would tag Dak. I don't think that they would tag Amari. So they would tag Dak and they would pay Amari. But then we'd be talking about the same conversation next year. And this is dynasty, so we're trying to look at our long-term assets. So
Or at least a 2 to 3 year window.
Sure, at least for a 2 to 3 year window. Exactly. That's what I was talking about earlier. So
Yeah, I saw your little shit talk on Twitter.
So my point is, there's no, if they do tag Dak, just know, be wary of your guys. Be wary of your guys, because if they do tag Dak and they sign Amari, they're not getting Dak. They're not. So you're not getting long-term Dak. You might be suffering through some troubling periods, and if you are struggling through some suffering periods, especially if Amari and ascending Gallup are competing for touches, that's not necessarily good for you. So you're losing Dak and you're getting Amari and Gallup kind of meeting in the middle. You don't want that as a dynasty owner. So they really they put themselves in a horrible situation with signing Zeke. And now hopefully, you know what, honestly, just rip the Band-Aid off. I hope that they just sign Amari or they just sign Dak and let one of the other ones go for Gallup owners. And if they do that, we get clarity. And honestly, like I said earlier, Michael Gallup could be through the roof. I could see him being a top 20 receiver.
So, but keeping Amari and keeping Gallup, why can't Gallup be the Crabtree to the Raiders version of Amari Cooper?
They just didn't use him that way. They should have. I 100% agree with you. They should.
If he starts catching touchdowns like Crabtree did,
they could.
Yeah.
But that's assumption of rational coaching, which never works for us.
Yeah, the guy had over 1,000 yards and 3 touchdowns last year? 3 touchdowns?
1,100
How
yards.
ridiculous is that?
I mean,
how ridiculous is that for the guy that excels in the red zone?
Yeah.
But if you take out week 17, that takes away 3 of his touchdowns on the year for Gallup, so it's tough.
Good point. Good point.
I'm not a big fan of counting week 17 overall.
No, I don't think. Yeah,
you're right. You're right. Y'all are right. That's crazy because it's 0 touchdowns for a guy who came out as a red zone specialist. That's kind of like JJ Arcega-Whiteside last year was the red zone specialist. I talked to people at work about JJ Arcega-Whiteside because I work with a few Eagle fans, and they were like, they didn't know anything about him. And I was like, you know what? He's not going to do a whole lot except for catch every single pass that's thrown to him in the red zone. And that's kind of how I felt about Michael Gallup 2 years ago. It was like the guy's going to make up his points in the red zone. It's just very unfortunate that the Cowboys didn't utilize him that way.
Now that they got that analytics guy, Mike McCarthy.
Right.
And it feels like he's just had a perfect kind of ascension too, coming into the league. Like you just don't really get this opportunity, and we're here like complaining about I mean, and we're being realistic, not, it's not negative necessarily. It's totally fair, but it's just like, this is what you want with a rookie wide receiver, to have what he had the first year, have what he had the second year, and he was even cut short a little bit with 2 or 3 games, maybe even 4 games with the meniscus thing. So this is exactly what you want. And I'm not necessarily afraid of Amari. So
but the only thing is,
they're going to keep Dak. The Cowboys are going to keep Dak.
They
whether
are.
It's franchise tag
I know
or
they are. They're going to figure out
a contract, whatever. They're not going to let Dak go.
In 2020, they are going to keep them. But the smart thing is to just cut ties with Amari Cooper and sign Dak. But the unfortunate thing is, it is very important to keep a wide receiver as predominant as Amari, even if we don't want to admit it.
And one that they traded for using a first-round pick in order to do so.
And they have to justify that to their insane fan base. You know what their fan base is going to want that too. So they got themselves in a terrible situation. It's just unfortunate because I don't want to be the 0 RB guy. Like, I get it, but you destroyed your team by signing this running back. And then Tony Pollard had better efficiency numbers than the running back that you spent $96 million on. You know what I mean? So now we have to have this conversation because of this running back that's standing off to the side that's going to produce just as much as the running back that's behind him. It's just unfortunate.
So a little off track here, but how much are the haters rooting for Tom Brady to sign with the Dallas Cowboys? I mean,
that would be so cool.
How much do people want to hate on that team?
That would be cool.
Yeah, they're going to win the haters club right there. Hate. They're going to be hating on them Cowboys the whole time.
I will pass out if Tom Brady signs with the Cowboys. That's just too much.
He might step in and say, look, I'm throwing to Michael Gallup in the red zone because he's going to be the boss at that point.
Right.
He's going to tell McCarthy, hey, I'm throwing to Michael Gallup in the red zone. I saw his tape coming out.
I like to sign with another team that doesn't have a tight end. Yeah. All right.
Speaking of tight ends, you see Greg Olsen signed with the Seahawks?
Pretty cool.
Yeah, that sucks for Will Dissly. I really thought that they had something going on with him this past season, unless his injury isn't coming along as quick as they hoped.
That injury is bad.
It's
Didn't he tear his patellar tendon the year before too? Like Dissly's had a couple of potentially career-ending injuries. I was hoping for some Jacob Hollister action in 2020.
Yeah, Hollister was looking good too. So I was kind of surprised at the signing. I know he was kicking around like Buffalo and I think like one other spot.
Like Washington.
Redskins,
yeah.
Because Vernon Davis retired.
Yeah.
And Jordan Reed is still in concussion. How crazy is that?
6 months.
It's been 6 months and he's still in concussion protocol. At some point, you have to force retire the guy. It's fair. I'm not kidding at all. That's very sad. Like at some point, somebody has to step in and say,
"No, you can't come back."
Well, he
give him a severance
buyout. Reed might just be waiting for like some sort of payday with that.
Yeah,
for his long-term health, he can't be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought it was kind of odd. I mean, out of all the things that Seattle actually needs, another tight end I didn't think was on their list of things that they need. I mean, they need healthy running backs. That's what they need. They need offensive linemen. That's what they need. They need linebackers and a corner. I didn't think they need another tight end. So it was just kind of bizarre. I mean, unless they got him on the cheap. I didn't see the contract.
I think it was
1 year. Yeah, 1 year, 7.5 million. Yeah.
That's not a lot. So
that's not a lot. So I guess
that's good.
I kind of love it though for fantasy.
Oh, for sure.
Greg Olsen, to get 1 year out of him, especially in that 2 tight end league. J Mike.
I love it just for having that guy in the locker room. I mean, that makes a lot of sense for people that aren't us because we're just dynasty mindset, we're fantasy mindset. But having Greg Olsen just in the locker room has a dollar value on it in itself.
Is he commentating games on the sideline while the defense?
He might be.
He should double dip.
I think he's doing XFL games actually. No joke. I think he is.
He did really good too.
Oh, I'd have to check that out. I didn't know he was doing XFL games.
I only caught clips, but it seemed like he did a very good job.
Might have to watch the XFL now.
Yeah,
it's been fun.
Wait, did you guys watch? Did you guys watch the 2015 All or Nothing? Okay, so if
with
you
the
guys
Panthers?
did not, yes, with the Panthers.
I heard he's I heard Olsen is like really corny, like almost annoyingly corny.
He's a little annoying, but the best part of the whole show was when they showed Greg Olsen playing spades with his kids, and he was absolutely annihilating his kids. Like he was, he was dunking on his kids in spades.
Wow,
I'm someone who plays a lot of spades, and I thought it was hilarious. He drops. I wish I could remember the scenario, but he dropped the card down and said it doesn't matter on his 6-year-old. Oh my goodness, I love Greg Olsen.
My favorite moment of that was when Steve Smith walked up to DJ Moore when he was a rookie. He's like, "Hey man,
should I start you?"
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I got this flex spot right here that could be about anybody. You should I start you? And DJ Moore kind of sits here. He's like, Steve Smith, this is like what I aspire to be. And he goes, yeah, you should start me. Like,
but Will,
it was so good.
Do you know what's awesome about that
too? I remember. Yeah, he did. That was hilarious.
But DJ Moore legitimately looked at the other options. That's what I thought was the silver lining there, is that DJ Moore looked at his other options on his roster and then he said, "Yes, you should start me."
Who did he see?
That's a good question. They didn't say. They didn't say.
I know, but who?
Ask
That's
me a real
the
question,
discussion.
Mike.
Who did he see?
Mhm.
He saw ramen, gumbo.
He saw Gallup.
He saw Gallup.
Like, no, it's not the week for Michael Gallup.
Probably saw Dante Pettis on there too. It's like,
I know.
yeah.
I was thinking Pettis.
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, well, your roster sucks, so yeah, start me.
Can I pivot right here? I got a real question. If Phillip Rivers goes to the Colts, how many shares of Naheem Hines are you going to try to acquire?
All of them.
Is he even a different person than Jacoby Brissett? Are they not? Have you seen them in the same room?
Phillip Rivers' dump off pass to the running back is unprecedented.
Yes, give me all the Naheem Hines if Phillip Rivers winds up
Oh my
signing them.
goodness! I'm gonna be overpaying so hard. I'll take that risk.
They seem to be unfortunately happy with Marlon Mack to the point where they might actually give him a contract.
Well, he can have that Melvin Gordon role of getting 10 to 12 rushing touchdowns a season, and Naheem Hines can take the Austin Eckler role, and they can both be all right.
Yeah.
Naheem Hines is Austin Eckler on steroids. I feel like when it comes to athleticism. So yeah,
I don't know. Did you see how many muscle ups that dude just did on Twitter? My goodness.
Is it pretty sick?
I saw 12 muscle ups. You know how crazy that is?
I didn't realize. Is that a CrossFit term?
I have no idea what those are.
I just feel like my body would collapse if I even tried it one.
I apologize. That is a
But in
pull
terms
up
of
into
spaghetti.
a dip. That is a full body pull up into a full body dip, and it is very difficult. And I just saw Austin Eckler do 12 today.
Yeah.
Yeah, it reminded me of Christian McCaffrey when he came in with just like vascular through the roof, and it's like, okay, he's gonna light the world on fire, and then he does.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there were so many things to try to be able to talk through with everything that was said. That was good stuff. One thing I do want to just say real quick, and then we've got to get to your beer choice, Gabe, because you put up the bet. You put up the odds, and I chose something. I don't know if anybody else did, but
Y'all were talking way too much football. My goodness.
it got real up in here. It got real up in here. Just real quick, Devontae Adams over the last 2 seasons. Again, this is my super deep research that I just was doing now. In the last 2 seasons, he's got 23 of 27 games where he saw 8 or more targets. 17 of which double-digit targets. Just want to throw that out there. The man, when he's on the field, Aaron Rodgers is looking for him early and often, no matter if it's Mike McCarthy or with your boy. I can't even think.
Matt LaFleur.
Yeah, but to get back, Gabe, what drink did you go with? I bet on the 10-1. Give me the 10-1 odds on the porter. Where'd you end up?
That looked too light.
Guys, that boy's got some head on it. Got some brain on that, huh, James?
Oh, Boddington.
Boddingtons. Okay.
Hello.
This is my brother's favorite beer. Introduced it to me. I had never had it until then, a few years ago, and it's a nitro beer or can.
Yeah.
So they got this little metal ball essentially in there that kind of that they kind of have to just dump it in. Basically, there's not like the technique of the putting it at an angle. It's just like, no, just ram it.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's good. I don't know. I never see it in the stores, and I finally found it somewhere, so I figured I'd give it a shot.
So Gabe, I got to know, man, is that a local brewery that puts that out, or what?
Oh no, that's straight from the UK or
that's like an old English beer.
Yeah.
Did Shad Khan send that to you from London?
Yeah.
Jaguars.
We're secretly transitioning. Yeah, and that's part of the process. So
Gotcha.
I'm with it.
Yeah, but the porter's also delicious. I mean, sorry for anyone who went out with the bets. Anyone else have an idea what I was gonna do? I didn't
No,
think so. Yeah, it was really, really tough to tell. That's for sure.
J Mike, in the nicest way possible, I thought nothing of what beer you were going to drink before on the podcast tonight. I should have put more thought to it. I probably could come up with it. It's actually my wife's favorite beer. No, and I'm not kidding. Like, we often have Boddingtons in the fridge here at the rest of the abode.
Yeah. Oh, that's your vibe then, Boddingtons.
Yeah, she's much tougher than I am, so she can drink the nitros.
No, it was when he got up and left. When he got up and walked away, he put it up on the screen there, Will, and he put odds and everything.
Yeah.
It was that's what I was going off of, but obviously it's not there now, so I look like a crazy person.
Yeah, kind of like the chat, man. I don't know.
It's here 1 second, go on the next.
it was hopping.
I was trying to bait some people.
Okay.
Chris is our beer guy. I was curious.
I was hoping for the hazy IPA. That's personal preference, but
I started with that, and that was a big boy. I don't know if I should have 2 of those, but
oh yeah, some of those they can be like 7-8%.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is, an 8.1. So,
yep.
But I was also kind of targeting Adam a little bit with the non-foo-foo whiskey. Just didn't come together like I had hoped, but here we are. Thank you for participating. This is a Boddington's Pub Ale. Shout out to the True Thrill, Will's wife.
I thought about buying
the real thrill of the household.
Real thrill.
It's unfortunate they didn't sell 40-ounce versions of White Claw for tonight.
Wow,
My kind of party.
Somewhere, Jake Anderson right now is drinking and saluting you with a White Claw in his hand. So
I don't get the
Crazy up and
hate
everything.
against the delicious beverage that's low in carbs. I don't get it.
No, I'm not. We're not hating on it. It's the
I
funny
am.
part that he just did a 40 ounce. It just sounds like you just married. That's just an odd
That's
couple.
why I
Like you're
couldn't type
marrying
in
the,
the
you're
chat.
marrying the
They're in
hood.
two
Yeah,
hands.
you're married.
Give
a
me
legit
a 40
trading
ounce,
places
give me some King Cobra over the White Claw. Or something.
The White
You're
the
gonna
White
get
Claw in the
fat.
brown
That's
paper
all it
bag.
is.
Yeah.
You get to drink.
Give
Yeah.
some Colt 45 over.
You know what?
White
Take
Claw.
all your Colt 45s, but you're gonna get all those carbs with it, and then you're gonna
That's
get
fine.
fat, and then the joke's on you.
Anybody drinking a 40-ounce does not care about getting fat. I can promise you.
Exactly.
Yes.
Oh
I think,
man,
let's go
I
drink
drank
my hip.
one
Like,
140 ounce in my whole life. It was the night before I left for the Navy, and we found a random place in the woods. Drank 140 ounce, and you know what? I didn't enjoy it. I didn't enjoy it. If
You
it were
didn't
White
drink
Claw,
tape it to your hand.
oh yeah. Well,
no. If I had 2 40 ounces, I would have taped
Yeah.
it to my hand.
Okay.
I would have.
Right.
Passed out. I already knew you would have passed.
I would have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tipsy
We
after
had-
like
Yeah.
80 ounces of beer. Oh my goodness.
Well, I think for every 40, you can just do one of those Eckler ups, and then you're good.
there you go. Work it all out. Sweat it out.
Do I get to take weight off my body or not? Like,
Well, when you vomit, you will for sure.
See?
so Devonta Adams last year versus Michael Thomas. Let's just do a quick comparison. Which one's 15? Yeah.
Sure.
Jesus.
Transition. Perfect. I love it.
Michael Thomas has scored about 7 points a game. I'm just like, I don't know about that Packers passing game in their
ADP.
future. I'm worried.
Well, it's the first year with a new coach that almost never pans out. So
It's that
I mean-
foot and head.
yeah, maybe.
The passing game was really effective in Tennessee when he was there with Mario. Oh, wait, no, it wasn't.
Mariota?
Hey, no Mario slander
That
in
was
this
like
house.
golfing with. a
Oh,
handicap.
no, J. Mike. I'm just going to be quiet now. I'm going to mute my mic because it's still going to happen.
I think
Oh my
Mariota-
goodness.
I think Mariota's going to the Cowboys, right?
No, I've got a
Like the same
question.
passer.
Can
Yeah.
anyone explain to me the plays where Marcus Mariota came in? Anyone? They ran normal quarterback plays, but with Marcus Mariota instead of Ryan Tannehill. I don't get it. It was like when Lamar Jackson came in for Joe Flacco, but not at all because
No, it was like
they
when,
ran the same plays.
what was it? I think Tyrod Taylor like came in for Phillip Rivers at random times throughout this past season. Yeah, like he had like a number of snaps
Okay, but Marcus, that's
randomly.
That's the problem though. Like Tyrod Taylor is like Tyrod Taylor. Marcus
Right.
Mariota literally just came in and took quarterback snaps.
Yeah,
at
Marcus
random
Mariota wishes he was
times.
Tyrod Taylor.
Yeah,
Right.
just like randomly send him.
Exactly.
Uh,
I never understood that.
So quarterback wise, guys, I got I've been struggling with this quite a bit. Is Drew Lock's value moving into next year?
Oh my god.
I tried to move for him in a couple of Superflex leagues, and it's gone very poorly to the Drew Lock owner. As far as like, I can't like, they won a lot, and he was outscored in points per game by Jeff Driscoll last year. So I'm a little bit confused on where his are we seeing the upside? Are you guys like moving him into the, I don't know, like top 18 quarterbacks for next year?
February ADP has him at 23 amongst quarterbacks.
Yeah, 18 feels a little high.
Okay. Yeah, that was just a guess of a number.
Yeah. Is that 4 games? 4 games for Drew Lock, I think.
Yep.
4 or 5.
Yeah,
I don't know. Right. I like him, to be honest with you. I think he looked like the real deal. I think he looked at the point in the season where he came in, I felt like it was almost to the point where we saw Geno Smith for the Giants. It's like, okay, I guess we technically have to see him. And that really wasn't the case. The guy produced. And I think they made a bold move taking Noah Fant in the first round because I think they might have wanted Drew Lock there. And they just felt like maybe I can get him in the second round. They took their shot and they made it.
James, let me ask you this. As someone who is consistently looking at and diving in on Superflex values, what's the value put on these young quarterbacks who are likely in positions to where they're not necessarily threatened by competition? I'm curious, and I don't think there's necessarily a set answer. I'm not looking for you to like solve this riddle, solve for X here. But what?
Hey, what?
At least, no. I'm sorry, Gabe. No, this is not an actual math equation. Yeah. Calm down. The Boddingtons about bodied him. So yeah, what do you believe? What do you believe that to be, James? I'm curious your thoughts on that.
Yeah, that's a really good question, J. Mike, because I think it's interesting with the quarterback position. I don't know that youth matters quite as much just because these guys are playing until they're like 40, when they're good. So the youth is nice because that you can lock up a position for a long time. However, I think sometimes we overvalue youth in at the quarterback position. But I will say this, with Drew Lock, with Daniel Jones, with guys like that, and Kyler Murray, the great thing about that is that I think those teams are in a position or have already surrounded in some of those situations those young quarterbacks with playmakers. I mean, you look at Denver, you have Noah Fant, who's a young tight end on the up. Cortland Sutton is a guy who I think we're all pretty high on as an ascending asset, and it looks like they're in the market to add another wide receiver at this point. So I think the talent around Drew Lock is going to make him desirable. You look at guys like Daniel Jones, who has Saquon Barkley, in the same backfield with him. Slayton was a guy who really came on last year and showed really well and good chemistry with Daniel Jones. And then you got Kyler Murray, who, I mean, we know with Christian Kirk, and then they drafted 3 wide receivers, and Arizona might be drafting another receiver this year. I mean, there's a lot of talk to that too. So the young running backs the young quarterbacks rather, that came into the league this past year, I feel like are surrounded by a lot of good young talent, or we expect them to add good young talent around them. So I think that is where their value kind of gets inflated a little bit too much, in my opinion, because of that. I don't think that's always going to be the case. I think we're going to see some guys go to some situations, and Cincinnati might be one of them, where you look at Joe Burrow and if he's the pick there, and you go, boy, I like some of those pieces. I like Joe Mixon, but that line leaves a lot to be desired. And I like Tyler Boyd, but if AJ Green walks, man, what else do they have? Is that offense relying on Auden Tate and John Ross and guys like that? Do they have a tight end? So, I mean, I think I don't know that situation is going to play out as well as it did this past season, but I think all the quarterbacks that came out this past year needed that. They really needed a good supporting cast to kind of succeed. So it's interesting to me. I think, like you said, J. Mike, the quarterbacks are valued differently when they're younger, and I think sometimes we overvalue the youth there.
I have a
What
question.
about a guy like Cam? Sorry to interrupt you there, Adam.
Go ahead, Gabe.
I was just curious about, I mean, Cam Newton, you know, I think I guess you could just bake in, you know, the injury, I guess, but possibly just, you know, completion percentage, I think is the hugest worry for Cam Newton, considering he seemed to have been more effective with his legs. So, and that is more of a kind of a trend with these up and coming quarterbacks, is that they're certainly more mobile. So yeah, they can play that till they're 40, but they're definitely going to have to learn how to pass like Russell Wilson. So, you know, for what it's worth.
Yeah, no, that's an excellent point. But I think that comes with age. I think we see a lot of quarterbacks mature in the pocket, become better decision makers, and become a little bit more accurate when they know the playbook really well. They know, you know, where a player's supposed to be and that sort of thing. I think we see that a little bit more often when they mature and they get a little bit older, but really in their youth, that's when I think they can rely heavily on their legs, because it's not, you know, they haven't taken the pounding, and they don't have that age on them. You know, that they will later in their career, which is really when it's going to hurt them. And I think you see that, like you said, with Cam, it's a perfect example. Is, you know, you see what happens when you can't be an accurate passer, and you know, you're relying on your legs too much. Eventually, it catches up with you, and you know, the injuries are going to be too much to overcome, I think, in a lot of those situations. So yeah, that's something definitely to monitor. And I think that's another feather in the cap for Daniel Jones. I mean, his accuracy looked fantastic this year at times. He was throwing dimes, and so you know, you kind of feel like he's the kind of guy who, you know, if he can take some more strides in consistency and pocket awareness, he's going to be someone who I think can be good for a long time, just sitting in the pocket and, you know, dismantling defenses that way.
You know, I wanted to talk
Who's
about
a guy
those.
that needs to adjust then? I did it again. I'm sorry. I'm 2 for 2 now.
You know what? Just make it 3, Gabe. Make it 3.
Yeah.
I think there's a few guys that I think needs to adjust that. I think the glaring one for me is Kyler Murray, and I think that's because I mean, that's twofold. That offensive line wasn't great. They were behind in a lot of games, and you know, your pass rushers are pinning their ears back. But this is a guy who we have ranked. I mean, he's going 5 or 6 in ADP right now as QB5, QB6, and so if he's going that high, you know, you really got to make sure that this is somebody that's going to be around, you know, and have some longevity. So I think that's what Arizona's trying to do. They're trying to get some more pass catchers. They're trying to spread the field a little bit more, so you can't just, you know, can't win with the pass rush too much. You know, you if you're going to blitz, there's going to be a guy open, you know, so that sort of thing. And I think that spread offense is kind of how they're going to try to do that. I don't know if it's going to work, but it wouldn't shock me if that's kind of their attempt here to kind of prolong Kyler's career here. And they got to work on him sliding too, because he seems to take more hits than some of the other guys that are running the ball at the quarterback position.
James, me and Chris just talked about that yesterday with the Arizona offense. Cliff is a rookie quarterback at the same time as drafting all these rookie wide receivers, and he didn't understand that rookie wide receivers don't just come into the NFL and produce. So he drafts Keyshawn, he drafts Hakeem Butler, he drafts Andy Isabella, and he ends the year with Bryce Butler as his wide receiver too. You know what I mean? Because you have to play a veteran there. Those guys just weren't ready to run 5 wide or 4 wide, or by the end of the year, they couldn't even run 3 wide because they didn't have the personnel for it. So that offense is a sneaky ascending asset after people are kind of soured on them because you just drafted a plethora of rookie wide receivers that weren't ready for it. And if you believed in Andy Isabella, you should still buy him. If you believed in Hakeem Butler, you should still buy him. Same thing with Keyshawn, because they just really didn't get the opportunity because they weren't ready to run an air raid offense. And I don't think that Cliff was ready to run an air raid offense in the NFL either. I mean, they were all rookies at the same time. What I did a little research on for a second there was Jimmy Garoppolo. What could you trade Jimmy Garoppolo? What would you get in return with Drew Lock? It was like the 112. I don't know. I think I'd rather have Drew Lock in the 112 than Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't know what you guys think.
Yeah. I don't have much interest in Jimmy Garoppolo.
Same.
And you could still get, you know, extra on top. That's nice. That's nice.
Yeah. What is he, like 13? We were talking about that.
It's too high.
Recently. I couldn't believe it. It's like, what?
Yeah, it's like what is he? I guess I don't understand like what Jimmy Garoppolo has really done to to get to that value at this point.
And you know what, dude? It's not even that Jimmy Garoppolo is a good or a bad quarterback. It's just that he's not going to ever get utilized as either. He's not going to ever, he's not going to ever be used as good or bad. If you added up the running back stats for the 3 or 4 major running backs, if you want to include Jeffrey Wilson for the 49ers, they were the running back 2 on the year. How insane is that? They just took 4 different random running backs, none of them with draft capital, and said, go win us games, and they make it to the Super Bowl. Is Jimmy Garoppolo ever going to be valuable? Probably not. And you could still get someone like Drew Lock plus a first on top of that. That's impressive. That's something I would do like this second.
Oh yeah, in a heartbeat. Yeah, I don't understand the hype. I mean, Garoppolo. I would say that he's above replacement value, like for a quarterback. I mean, he's in a good system. I mean, Kyle Shanahan is a great offensive mind, but I guess his on-field talent really doesn't lend itself to being the guy that you would want, like from a fantasy perspective. I mean, we just kind of saw that play out, unless he's like kind of pressed to it. So like that New Orleans game. I guess unless he's like pressed into it, they can just as easily sit back on their defense, which is what they pretty much wanted to do. I mean, they almost ran their offense like essentially just the same as like Minnesota like ran their offense, just like here, let's just do the bare minimum on offense, and then we'll try and like sit back on our defense and let them do the work. And it's just if that's the offensive mind, or if that's the team mindset, then that's not really something that I would want to invest in at the quarterback position. Give me all the ancillary pieces, but like I don't want the guy that's tied to it.
One of the best quotes I heard all season was Jimmy Garoppolo is getting paid a top 5 contract to do the bare minimum all game except for make 2 plays. And I thought that was so smart. That's
essentially it. Yeah.
Look, make your 2 plays a game, do the bare minimum the rest of the game. We'll keep paying you top 5 money. That's what he did.
He's always been my conspiracy theory player too. If you look at his cap or his dead money hit, if the Niners were to just be free of Jimmy Garoppolo, if they're just cut him, he's super cheap to cut throughout the rest of his career there in that contract. Which I mean, it's tough to say what actually happened, and they've signed just some interesting contracts there in San Francisco. That's one of the more fun teams to pay attention to, and how they're signing players and what they're doing with their cap. But if they wanted to move on from Garoppolo, they just decided, like, we can do this with anybody. They could pretty easily.
They could, though. Would their season look any different if they had Jacoby Brissett next year? Probably not.
Really.
They're probably still making the Super Bowl with Jacoby Brissett next year.
Yeah, I don't think it's like a massive, and that's kind of the sad part. Like, I know people would probably look at that and be like, "Oh gosh, no way!" But like when you look at their actual offensive production, I mean, what difference would you really have between the two? There's not a ton.
Garoppolo's like a 4 million dead cap or 3 million dead cap next year, and it just goes down. So it's always been it's one of my like fantasy cap conspiracies is that they're just waiting for something else to happen in the league where they can rid themselves of him and sign a quarterback to do the exact same thing and boost the other part of the team,
or draft one and Aaron Rodgers him or something like that.
Yeah.
Eason.
No, I'm kidding. I'm sorry.
Love could go there.
Cap conspiracies.
Love could go there. That wouldn't be bad.
Yeah, I could see that.
Kenny Pops in the chat hit us with a Jake Fromm.
Oh no! Come on, J Mike. Don't make me talk about Jake Fromm.
A less tan Jimmy Garoppolo.
I'm just saying everybody hates. I'm going to be in on everybody that draft Twitter hates. The last 2 years, draft Twitter has been dead wrong.
Josh Allen, and Daniel Jones.
So
Daniel Jones, Josh
if there's anybody else that we want to bury before they even get started, I want them immediately.
Okay, but not Jake.
I don't want to brag or anything, but I did have Daniel Jones and Drew Lock as my top 2 rookie quarterbacks. So I'm just saying.
I don't know that bad now.
That was just me. I don't know.
James, I'm not sure where we would be without your humility, without your foresight.
I try to keep things grounded as best I can. Yeah.
Someone's got to stand up for the little guys.
Yeah.
Come on, I co-host. I co-host with Stompy. All right, I never get to brag about myself. Come on now,
No, that's fair. Yeah.
I mean, give me some. Give me something here. Let me toot my own horn just a little bit.
Gotcha.
A little
This
bit.
is your moment. This
Toot
is
it,
definitely
man.
your moment.
Yeah,
Anything
yeah. I
else?
went
Toot,
yeah.
toot, baby.
toot toot. Yeah, there it is.
Toot, baby.
Toot, toot, baby.
All right, Gabe. Let's get ready to kick rocks. We're pushing 2
Oh,
hours.
yeah?
Yes. I know that this is your thing you love so much. Getting us to the 2-hour mark.
I didn't do a damn thing this time. Y'all were nuts about Devontae Adams and I don't even
Soup.
know.
And soup.
Football, blah blah.
Yeah,
Yeah, this
football, blah blah. Indeed.
The beauty of this was though, like how easy was conversation tonight.
Yeah.
Like we could do this for I don't even know how much.
All
This was great. This was so good.
Am I?
Say what, huh?
Oh, could we? We could do this longer. Is that
Theoretically, if you plug the numbers into the model and
yeah?
don't take into account anything like
Okay.
fatigue,
All for X.
family, all these other things.
Okay.
Like if you plug it into the model spits out a beautiful number that says this could be done for hours on end without delay. So I'm just saying.
Sounds like Michael Gallup and his success.
Mm.
Don't consider that Amari could or could not leave. Dak will or will not be there. He had a cup of gumbo yesterday. I don't know, man.
All right, 2 more hours.
Life was so much more simple with Dikembe Magumbo.
That's all I had to offer, and then I was out, and I let y'all talk about football.
Yeah.
But it was easy, and it was great, and look, J Mike, I'll give you this: the 6 thing, it's working out, and by the 6 thing, I mean the 6 humans. Can be
Can be done.
Is that verified?
It can be difficult. Hey, it can be difficult to do that on a podcast, I think. And Adam and I had a couple mishaps. We won't say whose
As
fault.
always.
Oh boy.
But it went very well, and you know what? I'm impressed.
You done good, kid.
Great show. This was a great show. We are going to give everyone an opportunity to again introduce themselves and then call out their favorite soup again. You have to use.
Can we just start the show over? Like, let's take it from the top.
Bring it back.
I feel like we could really do this better next time.
All right,
It was good, but
But whatever soup that you picked, you have to compare it to an NFL player when you say goodbye. Okay. So we will start with the 101 because I guess we have to do that order for us to say goodbye, essentially. So, Adam, your 101 was good old chicken noodle soup. I will allow you to have a soda on the side if it helps you create an analogy for the NFL player, the team, whatever it may be. So say what you need to say.
sure, super easy. Michael Thomas is my chicken noodle soup because he's going to cure all your ailments as well as score you a ton of points. And also, I guess I do my plug here. That's APWILDE. Find us at DLF Mailbag. Find us at Dynasty Owners Manual. And hey, thanks, guys. Thanks.
Wow, that was too easy. I thought this was going to be difficult.
Nope.
He kind of breezed through that.
But he's on top of his stuff. I'm taking notes here. I'm a mess. So just wait. Wait.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh boy.
I mean, the Michael Thomas. Okay, give me the soda on the side at least. Who is the soda on the side?
It is ginger ale with Jim Beam apple inside it. The ratio is to be determined later.
Not literally, Adam. My goodness. I think we know what the ratio is. I'm talking about considering you can answer what I was trying to get you to answer is that the soda equivalent to that of an NFL player. Michael Thomas.
Yeah, I can do that easily too. My soda on the side is going to be Leonard Fournette. And that's just, you don't know what ratio you're going to get, because he's probably not going to score touchdowns. But when he does score touchdowns, you get a little extra Jim Beam in your glass. You know what I mean? You didn't mean to get that big of a splash, but you did. Now you're twisted like a Wetzel's pretzel. And you're winning the Millie Maker.
Chris, what was he talking about with some nibs?
I have no idea, man. He
I drank all day.
I just took a nap, bro. All right. Brain on some other shit.
God.
What you say, James?
All right. James the Brain, my soup was beer cheese soup. And that's Derrick Henry for me. It's Derrick Henry because it's a thick, it's a hearty soup. And by the end of it, there's a little bit of a kick to it. And the more of it you eat, I mean, if you want to go hard on it, you're gonna feel a little wobbly in the knees by the time you hit the end of that big old bowl. So yeah, my beer cheese soup is Derrick Henry. You can find me on Twitter at _James the Brain. You can also find me on the Superflex Super Show as one of the co-hosts. You can find that on DynastyLeagueFootball.com as part of their family of podcasts. Also, real quick, I hope I'm not overstepping my bounds, but I do want to tell everyone, man, you got to follow J Mike's Journal at J Mike's Journal on Twitter. The first entry, J Mike, was awe-inspiring. It was awesome, and I can't wait for more. So everyone needs to follow that. If you want to follow some of the best stuff from one of the best guys you'll ever interact with, follow that. And it really is going to be something awesome, J Mike. I'm looking forward to it, to more entries. So yeah, hopefully I didn't overstep my bounds by telling everybody about that. But I'm really excited, and I'm proudly following after the first drop there.
Incredibly kind of you, James. Thank you, man.
Very, very well put and very true. I bet that you will listen to that and be like, damn, just kind of, I mean, you feel like J Mike, you've been doing this podcast thing with me. You've gone on other people's podcasts. We have plenty of people on the open bar, but there's no way that J Mike like that. That's the truth. So
absolutely.
Big old facts. Okay. Chris, your French onion, even
yes, sir.
James,
yes, sir.
Will you allow him to put that cheese back onto his soup? Is that okay?
Oh, absolutely. It's got to be as bourgeois as possible because I got to hear this player comp here. So yeah.
What did you say to me? Talk dirty to me again. Say it again.
Oh, the omelette du fromage.
Omelette
du fromage.
Did everybody else watch Dexter's Laboratory?
I kind of feel like he's just calling me a douchebag, though. Like he's just secretly like.
Strong vibes.
Yeah, strong vibes.
Omelette douche fromage.
I know, right? A little bit.
That's not what I said. God damn it, Adam. You're ruining the whole vibe.
He definitely ruined the whole vibe.
Was.
That was smooth. That was deep. That was sensual. And Gabe just perverted it.
He perverted it. And Adam was like, "Did he say douche?"
He said something after that too, bro. All right, go ahead.
You just ruined the whole, just the whole thing, man. Just whatever. I don't even know where to go from there. Just like I had like a whole speech prepared and everything, but all right. Well, let's go ahead and get into it. Allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is Chris. You can find me at Chris Allen FFWX, and yeah, French onion soup. I guess I'm going to go literal for a second, at least in terms of the side, because that is one of the things that I like to do is brew beer. So I would put on the side of the French onion soup. So you got your French onion soup, right? And you got the saltiness, you've got just a little bit of sweetness, like from the onion, if you cook it right, with some cheese bread and cheese and some bread on the side. The right pairing for that, in my personal opinion, would probably be something along the lines of a dessert beer. We're talking either like a blonde, or you can get yourself like a banana nut beer, something along those lines. I mean, so I'm thinking about a legitimate, like a good pairing if you're going to go French onion. So you want something light, not something hoppy. I don't even really think you want something that's malty. You want something that's just light and has a good taste to it. So that would be my personal recommendation. But if you're not following me for food, you're definitely following me for beer, and that's what I like to discuss. So you'll see me doing that during the off season. If you're not following me for beer, not following for food, then let's talk some football. I mean, that's what we're here for, right? Down here at the open bar, we talk about life, this, that, and the other, but football seems to be the thing that we revolve around. So you can find me on Twitter, as I mentioned earlier, at Chris Allen FFWX. And yeah, I drag Adam around wherever I can, I guess. I'm kind of stuck with that dude. But yeah, we're doing the Dynasty Owners Manual. We're back, third season. So come check us out over there. I guess we're doing the DLF mailbag. That's what, I'm stuck with Adam for that too. So I'm on the hook with him for that. So come check us out. We'll be actually doing a live show tomorrow night. But yeah, between that and also you can find me over at 4for4, doing like some best ball analysis over there. Actually, our first article dropped today. So yeah, man, it's going to be a wild and fun off season. So yeah, that's where we're at. So come check us out.
There's never been a better dragging of a co-host.
I didn't even know we were recording a mailbag episode tomorrow, actually.
Boy, howdy.
Oh, eat at your soul like ether. Oh,
I tell you what.
Boy, I tell you.
You should have been there, bucko.
Every time, man. Every time.
All right. Did you pick, or did you just kind of
No, he avoided
away
the
from
question. He does
you avoided
that.
it? Okay.
I avoided
Did you? Okay, that's fine. I mean, it's fine.
I avoided it. I dodged it.
Yeah. You get to skirt when you want.
Skirt.
The thrill. At least one of them.
The thriller.
The all-time thrill. So one from
Correct.
at FF Joes on Twitter and at Roto Librarian on Twitter. They're way better follows than I am. Pretty bad at Twitter, as Jay Mike can attest to when responding to coming onto this. I'm very grateful you guys for having me on. It's been a great time. And I'm at FantasyJoe_Will. Anyway, we're just kind of like, we're a casual podcast. We try to talk about dynasty values in our leagues. What we're not specifically our leagues, but try to keep everything in the context of potentially other either little snippets or fun facts and things you haven't heard elsewhere. But yeah, we keep it fun. We keep it light. And so I wanted to go with the super. I'm going to pivot a little bit here. So I'm going to get rid of the young QB hype Dumbo and also get rid of that nonsense J Mike soup gumbo and give me 2 slices of the Traquan Smith broccoli and cheese with bread bowl combo. That's my soup take.
Yeah. I'll buy that for $1.
There's some poetic editing.
Got him scratching his beard. I hear the wheels turning.
I like it.
I reach back out to you, the prince of the Pillow Palace. Invite you back into my home.
Oh man.
Into the place that I call home.
Like his sanctuary.
And this is what you choose to do with my heart, with my generosity, with my kindness. You choose to drag gumbo through the proverbial basic
He's just
broth that is cheddar, broccoli, and bread bowl.
It's just,
Yeah.
just got to Kevin.
Gabe, I'm calling it a night, man.
Look at this crestfallen. I mean, J Mike's over there. He's been hoodwinked,
Wow.
bamboozled,
Never seen him like this.
run amok.
Yeah.
Talk about it, Chris.
It's just nothing personal, but not a lot of things rhyme with combo. So I had to make some choices.
I could never be mad at you, the pillow prince of all time. I can't do it. Thank you, Will. Appreciate you.
Chris, how do you spell that phrase? I've been trying for like 10 entries on Google how to figure out what the heck you said. And I definitely can't put in what Adam said. All right.
Yeah.
I'm finding out. Is it?
Does omelet do
Omelet.
D-U
Do you?
fromage? F-R-O-M-A-G.
Oh, fromage. Okay. Yeah. Got it.
Omelet
All
du
right.
fromage.
Omelet
Yeah,
with
I know.
cheese.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So, well, real quick before I pass it off to you, J Mike, are we still doing the football thing? Like Chris kind of passed, and then I don't know what happened with the broccoli cheese bread thing.
There's a Tre'Quan Smith reference in there.
Yeah, I got you. I got you. Okay.
He's your guilty pleasure once every 8 months.
Yeah. Well, ramen. Ramen. I still have all of ramen, right? So I can just kind of do whatever I want with that.
You can go XFL if you wanted, man bun.
Oh my
You
god,
can do that. That's a 10-cent ramen packet. You know, I mean that.
Well, look, that's what you would have to do with the top ramen. Yeah, very much. Indeed.
Oh
But
man,
that OG ramen, that bougie ramen. Let's go. Hey, keep it on brand. Wubba lubba chub chub, huh? Wubba lubba chub chub. All right, little bit of everything. Okay.
It's getting swifty in here.
It's getting swifty, baby. All right. The broth. Okay. The man is just hearty to the soul. He just looks like a genuine guy, really. Okay. Not to mention the pork. Okay. Dude's beefed up. He is your workhorse back. Don't care about Kareem Hunt. Don't care about a running back that they're not going to bring in this draft. Come on. It's Wubba Lubba Chub Chub, baby. The noodles. He's slippery. All right. He's all around, man, and he doesn't get enough credit, and it's Wubba Lubba Chub Chub season.
I'm gonna have some ramen tomorrow night just because of that. Just because I absolutely love that analogy. And Chubb, I'm gonna wear my Chubb jersey too while I eat it. So,
All
and a
right.
bit
that sounds like a great idea.
on it, but
That sounds like a wonderful idea.
Wubba Lubba Chub Chub season indeed. J Mike, what say you?
Yeah, so obviously gumbo was the call for me, and I'm actually just going to say that this is the entire draft class for the LSU Tigers. So no matter if you have in your super flex leagues, if you want the spice of Joe Burrow, if you want to be able to get the versatility of one Clyde Edwards-Helaire, or if you simply want everyone to sleep on you and still be the best thing, as Ray GQ would say, the hottest thing smoking at the end of the first round in Justin Jefferson. No matter where you choose to take gumbo, it's going to surprise you. It's going to give you the best bang for your buck. You won't leave disappointed. The only way that you won't like it is if you're allergic to shellfish, and that means that you're basically an Auburn fan who ends up also being a Cincinnati Bengals fan, and you get a whole bunch of Joe Burrow in your face, and you don't want to like it, but you keep eating it because it's wonderful, and your face just keeps swelling up out of just this internal hate that's been breeding in your soul for your entire life, because it's difficult for Auburn players to like LSU players, things of that nature. So that's what we're looking at with the LSU Bengal Tigers, the entire draft class, your entire first round of your rookie drafts, littered with the greatness of gumbo, no matter where you choose. That's my soliloquy.
that's how you end it on some Louisiana gumbo. There it is.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
You tied it together. Yeah,
Yes,
didn't
sir.
you?
Yeah.
That was cute. Wow.
Nice little bow.
Would you like to try jambalaya next?
Hey, listen, jambalaya is my thing too, man. I'm here for all of the southern delicatessens, if you will. I'm here.
In the Midwest we have goulash. Oh man,
You lost me. You
not
lost me.
No.
No
I
problem.
can't
No
really
problem.
see what's in there. I assume it's just. A lot
Did
of
you say
leftovers.
du fromage?
No, I need some gumbo. Give me some jambalaya. Give me some etouffee.
All of it.
Etouffee.
One of the things that I'm most excited about for this year, Lord willing, we get there, is I get to spend a couple different instances in the presence of Chris Allen. I think if we have our way, I'm going to be seeing Chris Allen at least 3 times in 2020, and I could not be more excited. Specifically,
It'll be a wonderful time. Wonderful time.
Yeah.
Well,
especially with his grilling and beer making, and I think that we'll have a good time. So, to our guests, thank you all so much for joining. I really enjoyed the 6th person, especially just the conversation that was flowing tonight. A bunch of sharp dudes who all have podcasts, who do fantastic work, and I'm truly grateful that you all would join us again. So thank you all to the folks in the chat. Thank you all for keeping it lit tonight. My goodness, it was a good time. Kenny Pops came out. Zach, Bobby, the chat was lit from top to bottom, and we appreciate you all very much. If you're not catching this live on YouTube or on Periscope, then that means you're probably checking out the podcast version, which we appreciate you putting us in your earballs for wherever you are. So I'm not sure that you're going to have a better, or at least a more fun 2 hours plus in your day than spending that with us. But we're grateful that you choose to be able to spend that time with us. You can catch us on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify. The list goes on, and we appreciate you for checking us out. If you want to drop us a rating or a review, thank you. We'd appreciate that. And if you don't, if you want to share us with a friend, we'd appreciate that too. And if you want to do none of those things, we raise a glass to you anyway, because we appreciate you checking us out one way or another. On Twitter, you can find me on at JMikeCheck, at JMICCheck. You can find the show's handle at the Open Bar Pod, and you can find my main man, the host with the most, Bungie, Genius the MC, Papa G, Gabe GQ, Intro Bro, aka Mr. Gearing If You Nasty, hey. On Twitter at FFManBun. Gabe, take us home.
Did you ask Ray? Did you ask other J Mike for the blessing on Gabe GQ?
Gabe GQ. I have it.
Somebody might
I
have to
have it.
contact
That might be a
Ray.
registered trademark. I might need to
Right.
check in on that. It's all love, Ray. It's all
GQ trademark TM.
Wow,
Please don't sue.
I felt good. Yeah, that was fun, man. Flip the page. Dynasty is the newest rage. Ain't no off season. Come on.
Great.
Talk about
All these fish are all over my dynasty.
It's February 18th, and we didn't talk about rookies basically at all. That's
Who needs them?
Hey,
that's
is
a welcomed accomplishment for this time of the year.
Trade them for
I-
bets. Trade them for
True.
bets.
too much time on Dante Pettis and Traycon Smith.
Very important.
True.
Oh,
Yeah.
Gabe, I'm sorry. I've got one last thing. Gabe. I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, just real quick. And James, appreciate your kind words earlier in regards to the endeavor. For those that are curious at all, I literally had probably the worst year of my life in 2019, just with a lot of craziness and life and heaviness. And my essentially this was birthed from literally journaling. I'm reading a journal, basically, of just things that I'm writing out, trying to help process and get through some things, and something that was suggested by my counselor, because life is crazy and life is hard, and doing it by yourself is a terrible idea. So that's if you're curious what James was talking about, that's what J Mike's journal is. It's literally just my thoughts and in reference to journal, and it's part of my processing. And I have no idea if this is something that's going to go on for a few episodes or years or weeks, or if I'm done after this one. I have no idea. But the goal is to be able to help process and get through some things, and hopefully also let people know that they're not alone either. So if it's something to where, again, it is not for everyone, but it's definitely for everyone. So hope it resonates. Hope it's something that you can rock with. And if it's not, that's cool too. And I'm not upset with that in the least bit. But again, this is literally me journaling. This is just writing in a journal and then reading it. And just hope it's something that can help and encourage and just give some perspective. So yeah, that's that.
Mm-hmm.
It's beautiful, man. I can't say enough about it. I don't know. It just struck me differently. So I can't say anything more than to just check it out yourself. Like it,
Yeah.
They might be 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Like that's not a lot of time as far as podcasts go, and it's not even that. So it's just it's a vibe. Do it. All right. So I don't know what else did I mention anything else here? Thank you, everyone. Our guests here. Hey, Chris, is there
Yes,
any
sir.
way I could just I don't know, hit you with you talked about beer. So what you peaked on me is the banana nut beer.
Yeah.
So I've had this banana bread beer before, and I think it was from shout out to Boddington's again from England, but this banana bread beer was just yucky. it was not good. So
Really?
yeah. So I'm maybe I'm just not acquired to that kind of taste. I drink a lot of beer and I'm open to a lot of beer, but that was just not it for me. There's about 2 beers that have never finished, and that was one. So I'm curious, for one, if you've done that, and
yeah.
2, I know that your DMs are certainly open to the masses as far as sending beer, but I'd love to explore that.
Yeah. I'm
creation.
actually there are a couple of recipes I've got that I'm cooking up for the summer. As J Mike alluded to, there's a gathering that we'll have like in the June-ish time frame that I'll be putting together a keg for that. And I've got a few other empties that I need to fill up. So yeah, that's one of the ones that I probably want to have. So yeah, I've done a recipe similar to that before. It's a Lefse, I think is what's called Lefse Belgian Blonde, I believe is like the name of the recipe. But it has like a banana ish type flavor to it. So I think you might be interested in it.
Okay. Yeah, the one I had was it's like runts.
Yeah.
The bananas and runts. Like it was like
yeah.
it tasted like that, and I was like, "What is this? This ain't right."
No. I got you. I got you.
All right.
We
Well,
can get you hooked up.
yeah. Hey, J Mike. Hey. Hey. Do we have a show next week?
Bro, we do.
All right.
We do.
Nice. That's good news and good to know, because then I can show up here. 9:30 Eastern ish. Drop a link late to all my people and maybe finish some spaghetti and then run for a beer midway through the pod. All right. Put your drinks up, my people. Whether it's empty, whether it's non-alcoholic. Shout out. I saw Deltron in there with the non-alcoholic beer, the Caliber from Guinness. Shout out to the non-alcoholic crew. All right, I went through those beers Adam last month, and they were delicious. And shout out to that journey just in general. But that's it, man. I do intros. Y'all know that. Maybe if you don't, then I do, and you can find them out there in places. I you know what? I will shout out the most recent one I did do. I need to do that more, and I'm sorry I don't. But Sideline Squib is the most recent podcast intro that I did, and it was fun. I enjoyed it. Like those guys a lot. Very kind. Go check out that podcast, not just for the intro, for the football. That's it. We shoot next week. What is it? Are we still in February? Hey, is the combine this weekend? Is it this weekend?
Next weekend.
Or is it next?
No,
next weekend.
Next weekend?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, we can't talk about rookies until after that. So there. Okay.
You might have some hand sizes by then.
Yeah.
something like that.
Some weights.
There you go.
Where's liver good when you need him, Will?
I actually read a whole data thing on hand sizes and running back production so far, so that didn't come up tonight. Turns out I wouldn't be a great NFL running back.
I'm the degenerate who's looking to see if Vegas has odds posted on which player is going to have 2 different hand sizes.
They probably do.
I didn't find nothing, man. I'm telling you, I'm bummed.
Yeah.
We'll wait. Once it gets closer, I'm sure.
Props look
that's
fun. Props look fun. We'll have to talk about that next week or something. All right, let's get
4.5 over
under.
under on the quarterbacks. First round.
I know.
Fellas.
Hey, James, stop it. All right. We
Sorry.
will see you all next week. And this is where I say,
Love you, bye.